Well, welcome aboard, everybody. A happy hour Friday edition of the Sports Bash. We are on location, Ventnor Social today, and let me tell you, we are getting ready for the Eagles and the Rams, a Phillies weekend. It is, holy mackerel, we have reached the last week of the Phillies season. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Arizona, and then they'll be home for the last week, and then we'll get you ready for the Red October playoffs. It's all going to be here before you know it. The Sports Bash live on location today. Ventnor Social. Ventnor, it's a beach day. It's a beach day. Come over to the island, grab a nice cool drink with us here. We'll give you all the details on what they got going on for the Eagles game this weekend. Now, I'll tell you what. As if you didn't already like Ventnor Social, it's a great spot. We always talk about the Barkley wall behind us. If you go to the wall in the back, they got the Philly Fanatic on the wall back there. Pretty cool setup in here. But they said for the Thursday night game when the Eagles played the Cowboys, that even with the delay, now if you're looking for a place to watch the games, you want to go with a lot of fans, you want to have the energy. They said that people stayed through the delay, and it was still crowded in here when they came back. Our boy Nick Nuggets left the game, not the people at Ventnor Social. They stayed here in the building until the whole game was over. Last week for the Eagles-Chiefs game, 4:25, place was mobbed. Phillies played at 1. This week it's reversed. The Eagles play at 1, the Phillies play at 4, so you can watch the game right here at Ventnor Social. They're going to be giving prizes away. They got a prize wheel that they're going to be spinning throughout the game. So we'll give you more details on that. Eagles-Rams this weekend. So this is probably the best game of the weekend. In my estimation, we'll do the Friday 5 later on tonight. But this is probably the best game of the Sunday slate. This game here has me most intrigued out of every game. Like if I was just a casual football fan, I probably think this game is the best game there is this weekend.
And you would think this game would be at like 4:25 or 8 o'clock.
You would think it would be the 4:25. This game here is the main game of the weekend. But for whatever reason, it is a random 1 o'clock game on is it Fox this weekend, the game on Fox, or is it a CBS game this weekend? But either way, it is just a 1 o'clock game. But make no mistakes about it. Yeah. This game is the best game of the weekend. You don't have a matchup that rivals this game, in my estimation. I mean, we'll do the Friday 5, as I said, a little bit later on, but there's really not a game that's nearly as good as this one. You know, these are two teams that many people think could go and represent the NFC in the championship, in the Super Bowl, and I don't think they're wrong. You know, and it's funny because we look at Green Bay right now, everybody's buzzing about them with the Micah Parsons deal, but what the L.A. Rams did last year, they were off the radar. Nobody really picked them, other than me, by the way, to make the playoffs. Not only did they make the playoffs, they gave the Eagles all they could handle. Now, remember, that game was in the snow. What happens if that game's not in the snow last year? How different is that game? What if that game is a mild-weathered game? You know, January these days, it's like 40 degrees sometimes. You get games or days that it's pretty warm. What if that game was a little different? What if it wasn't snowing all day long? I know those what-ifs, but if these two teams meet again and the game is in L.A., is the game different? That's why this game is so important, because tiebreakers, 1 seed, home field advantage. Just think about why you won that game last year. The game was in Philadelphia, and it's snowing. You ain't getting snow in L.A. in January. I got news for you. In fact, you might get a little heat like you got today. That's why this Week 3 game against the L.A. Rams is so important. That's why this game against the L.A. Rams is so important for the Philadelphia Eagles. And look, we always talk about big picture. We talk about the Philly season being a big picture season. It's not about this series, losing that series, this game, that game. Everybody wants to complain about this game or this decision or that decision. That is micromanaging what is a big picture season for the Philadelphia Phillies. That's why I don't get too crazy about what the Phillies do on Tuesday night in July. It's about October. And for the Philadelphia Eagles, it is about January and February. But to get there, it's a lot different than baseball. It's a lot different than baseball because these games matter. these matchups matter. The fact that you play the Rams, two NFC teams, this early in the season, you will look back at that game. You will look back at that game when we are in December, right? When we're in December and you're talking about tiebreakers and what team plays this team and that team plays that team and who do they play this weekend? Well, you need to win because you've lost this tiebreaker. Well, the easiest tiebreaker to win is the which one? The head-to-head. I know you weren't going to get that right.
Well, I wasn't
I
going to say head-to-head.
I was going to bail you out there.
No, I was going to go down that right path. I was going to go down.
The head-to-head matchup is the one, right? That's the one that you can control. You don't want to get into a tie-breaking scenario where it's like, well, we've got this team needs to win because their division. No, you don't want that. You want to win this series, this game, because you want the head-to-head tiebreaker. Because I think if you look at the Rams in this season, the Eagles have a very difficult schedule. The Rams after this, they play the Colts, they play the Niners, they play the Ravens, they play the Jags, they play the Saints, they play the Niners, they play the Seahawks, they play the Bucks, Panthers, Cardinals, Lions, Seahawks, Falcons, Cardinals. It's an okay schedule. It's not as difficult as the Eagles' schedule. I think the Rams have a more favorable schedule than Philadelphia does. So they will probably have, I'm going to say at the end of the year, they're probably going to be in that 11-win range, which means if you're in that 11-win range, you got to beat this team. You got to beat this team. You got to do it. 609-403-0973. 609-403-0973. That's the text board. Get in on that. What I want to know from the listeners today is which NFC team is the biggest threat to the Eagles in your mind? Is it the Rams? Is it Green Bay? Is it somebody else? Are you looking at this week's game the same way that I'm looking at this week's game?
If you're asking me, I'm going to go Green Bay. That's the team that I have circled on my schedule.
That's the biggest threat.
That's the game of the year, yep. Whenever they play
Week 10.
Week 10. Oh, see, by then we will know exactly who these teams are by Week 10.
See, I think this Rams team is sneaky better than the Packers are.
Do you?
I do. I think it's easy to go Packers, Micah Parsons, but I like the quarterback here better. I like the receivers here better. And quite frankly, I like the whole offense here better. Their offensive line, which, we talked to Casey Joyner yesterday, and he talked about how difficult it could be to get pressure on Matthew Stafford. Their offensive line's pretty good. I think this Rams team offensively is better. Now, defensively, remember the game last year in the playoffs. The Eagles had their problems against them in the playoffs, except for one area, and that's Saquon Barkley. And let's start with Saquon Barkley. Both games last year, he ran for over 200 yards in the game. But he hasn't been able to do that this year. So I guess the question I would have is, if Barkley can't bust a big one, can the Eagles win this game? If the Eagles don't get the big run from Saquon Barkley, if the Eagles don't get that back-breaking run from Saquon Barkley, can they win this game? It took every inch of those 200-plus yards that he had last year to beat the Rams. You remember that game in January. They needed all of those 200 yards. The first time they played the Rams, they blasted them. They absolutely blasted them, 37-20. I think Barkley ran for, correct me if I'm wrong, 255 yards in that game. But Saquon Barkley, they needed those 200 yards. What if he doesn't get the 200 yards that he got in the games last year? What happens? What happens to those games? What happens to this game, I should say?
I think that the way they've been winning games recently, it's their MO to win close games and be dominant up front in the line of scrimmage. I mean, that's how they win games. Usually, that's their MO. Hurts does not turn the ball over. We saw last night, Tua, he did a pretty good job hanging in that game against the Bills, but what happened at the end of the game? He tried to force a throw, awful decision, gets picked off, and the game's over. Jalen Hurts doesn't do that kind of stuff.
Jalen Hurts doesn't make the Tua mistake.
He
You're
does
absolutely
not
right
make
about
the Tua
that.
mistake.
By the way, did you see Kurt Warner taking some offense to some media ripping Tua there?
No, I did not.
Who
see
basically said, I got to find the text, the tweet actually. So I think it was Emmanuel Acho who put out basically screaming at Tua, what are you doing, Tua? Blaming Tua. to which Warner is essentially saying this wasn't Tua's fault. He's saying it's the receiver's job to run his route to where that linebacker freezes or goes with them. He said the receiver didn't do what he was supposed to do. Tua is just trusting the play call.
I think that's Kurt Warner defending a fellow quarterback.
You don't believe so? Well, he's saying basically, it makes sense if you think about it. He's saying that inside receiver is supposed to plant his foot and stop and drag so that the linebacker either goes with him or stops and thinks about going with him. And that freeze of him should be enough to get that pass in there. Right. But the receiver never ran the right route, and the linebacker never froze or never stopped, and he ran right through the ball.
Well, that's what happens when that team's got to throw the ball down the field, and they can't just do these little dink and dunk screen passes.
Yeah, that team, but they did fight hard last.
They did.
That game was definitely a better game than on a Thursday night than we thought it would be.
They covered the spread, yeah.
609-403-0973. Glenn in Northville, can you explain what the Rams' thoughts are before facing the Eagles? I like that question, actually, Glenn. What are the Rams' thoughts? I think the Rams' thoughts are we want to prove to everybody that we're better than the Eagles. That's what I think their thoughts are. I don't think they're coming in here thinking, oh, my God, we got to go play the Eagles. I think this Rams team is coming in with confidence, and they're trying to prove that we belong with the Eagles. We belong on the same field as the Philadelphia Eagles. If you go back to that game last year, the Eagles made, I think, wasn't that the game? What happened in that game? Elliott missed a couple field goals, if memory serves.
Correct.
There was something else that happened in that game last year. I think the Eagles were the better team in the game, and they held on at the end. They needed to hold on. But, Glenn, I think if you're the Rams, you're not thinking about the Elliott missed field goal as that's why we lost the game or that's why they won the game. You're thinking we were right there with this team. We have every right to be in the conversation with the best team, and we're about to go out there on Sunday and prove it. I don't think they're intimidated by the Philadelphia Eagles. Do you guys?
I don't think Matthew Stafford is intimidated by a Dory Jackson. Do you? When you're really getting into the nuts and bolts of the game and what the Rams can exploit.
No, and
secondary is the weakest link when you talk about Nakua and of Adams and Stafford as your QB.
Yeah, and Glenn and Absecon, that's another thing. What are the Rams thinking? Where can we find the weakness of the Philadelphia Eagles? Let's find them, number 8.
So just to remind,
let's go after that guy.
So just to remind you guys, so Jake Elliott missed 2 extra points in the playoff game. In the regular season game, he missed one of the field goals. So, but Elliott was also having a rough year last year in general. So it's, he looks a lot better this year with the balls.
Every kicker looks a lot better this year, right? They might have to think about what they're doing with these kickers.
Every coach thinks they have Brandon Aubrey as their kicker.
Well, I heard on the Dominic Foxworth podcast, they were talking about that you might have to, everybody now, because the kickers are doing this, you got to change the rules, right? Do something good, you got to change the rules. And the discussion was about should they limit the amount of field goal attempts you can try in a game?
Well, they just ban field goals,
right?
You
can only attempt 3.
Just go for fourth down every time.
Why don't we just stop making rules because things are hard for us to beat? Like, how about we just stop doing that?
I listen. Go back to the regular football that you used before. Why did they change that? This is like the tush push thing. You used to not be able to push guys. Well, that rule seemed like it was just oddly in the book, so we just got rid of it. Well, now it's a problem. There was no reason to change the football for the kicker. What did you do it for?
Well, the problem was, so those who don't remember, this all originated from Deflategate. Remember, because the balls used to.
But I thought they put a new rule in this year specifically for K-balls because teams can bring their own kicking footballs.
Yeah,
this is new this year.
That specific part is, but I'm trying to explain why we got here. It's like the whole, Blandino was trying to.
Deflategate happened 10 years ago.
I was on my bachelor party with Deflategate. That was years ago.
I would love to explain this to you.
What's the correlation? You're trying to correlate the success they're having this year, 25 to Deflategate.
So, as Blandino explained yesterday, there are rules that are on the books. Then one day some person comes along and says, the rule's now going to be different, right? So, before Deflategate, the quarterbacks and the kickers used to determine the inflation and all that stuff with the balls. after Deflategate, then it turned into, nope, the quarterback and the kicker doesn't have a say in the inflating and deflating of balls. The league is now overcompensated and said, you know what, the kickers can have their own balls now. So
well, why did
they do that 10 years ago?
Right.
Because the NFL is more interested in punishing Brady and Belichick than being
Well,
safe.
That's what I'm saying.
Between
Deflategate and this year,
they all of a sudden decided
that,
they were deflating balls 10 years ago. You know what? Like, I don't know how that correlation comes into play here. Whatever. That's the way that you're reading this. Good for you. They changed the rule for whatever reason. If it happens to do with Deflategate, I don't know why they did it. They could go back the other way if they think that the kicking is such a problem. This is like in my fantasy league, because we give out 8 points for a kick that's like 50 or more. You get 8
Really?
points.
That's a little high.
Be
a high score to me, huh?
Well, that's what I'm pointing. So everybody gets 8 points. Not like the one kicker gets. Everybody gets the same amount of points. But it's like guys, the kickers are too important. You're getting 8 points for a 50-yarder. Well, it used to be really hard to make a 50-yarder. So I think it's like from 1 to 25, or 1 to 30, you get 3 points. From 31 to 49, I think you get 5 points. And then anything
Right,
You
more
get
points
points based on the distance of the kick.
Right, but the guy, this feels like it's the guy in the fantasy league who thinks the kicker is too important. He wants to lower the amount of points that you get for the 50-yard plus. Right, the kickers are too good now. We got to do something about it.
Right, like they showed Scott Norwood's field goal last night.
I heard that.
That was a 47-yarder.
And hear what Michael said on the call?
No.
This 47-yarder is the longest field goal that Norwood has attempted on grass. 47 yards. I was like, oh my gosh.
That's a chip shot now.
Shaner says, honestly, 2-2 was what I was thinking to start. Now I'm at 3-1. Green Bay has the full package to do the Rams, as do the Rams. Toss up. Tails wins Rams. We're worried about this game than any other game of the season, he says. They can't cover these wide receivers. The offense will have to pass. Are they ready, fellas? That is from Shaner, who is in parts unknown, Gloucester, Massachusetts today. Shaner, what's up? I would think the Rams right now.
It's so weird how
the schedule comes out. You're like, oh, the schedule, they got a really difficult schedule. Well, you're playing the Chiefs on the road. You're on the road at the Chiefs. I would agree that right now, this game appears to be the most difficult game on the Eagles' schedule in terms of team. Next week's tough because you're at Tampa Bay. You get this game at home.
That's like going to Citi Field, right?
Yeah, that's good.
That was
good.
Down there. Yeah, I like that.
That was good. This being at home, though, you have to take advantage of it. This is the best team on your schedule, and it's at home. You can't lose this game. You can't look back and say we lost a tiebreaker because we lost a home game. Because now, go back to April when the schedule came out, or May when the schedule came out, and you're like, oh, my God, you got the Chiefs on the road, and you got to play, the Rams, and then Denver's a playoff team, and Minnesota made the playoffs last year, and Green Bay and Detroit. And then you got the Commanders. Well, all of a sudden, a lot of those teams feel a lot different than they did in May, don't they?
Yeah, and that's why it's really important I don't care how they win. If they want to win ugly, they can stack wins early on against these tough opponents, and you see where the offense is come week 10 against Green Bay. But if you can win ugly now, right, stack those wins against Kansas City, against Tampa, against Denver coming up in 2 weeks, against L.A., you see where you end up in week 10.
Chris in Mays Landing, remember earlier in the week you guys talked about how the Eagles might be hiding their explosive plays because they found other ways to win. I think this might be the game they throw it all out there, do what needs to be done. Rams have consistently gotten better over the years and will definitely display a bigger challenge than the Chiefs and the Cowboys did. Chris, you might be right about that, and this might be the defense that you can have more explosive plays against. The one thing about the Rams that I think this is where the Eagles have an advantage. The Rams have a smaller defense. They are a team that is a smallish defense. You can wear them down. We saw them do it in the game at L.A. last year. They just beat up on that defense. They're kind of small. Fisk is not going to play probably in the game. They do have, some good pass rushers. But anytime a team has good pass rush, I feel the Eagles are good enough with their offensive line to kind of negate that. So we'll look at it all from all different angles. Sal Paolantonio at 5, John McMullen at 3. Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City is going to take a look at the Phillies last weekend on the road. They are at Arizona this weekend. We are at Ventnor Social. We've had a lot of people already come in and get their picture taken with the Lombardi Trophy. You know, it's still shiny. It's still cool. It's still, when you see it, your breath just kind of gets taken away.
It still has Vince Lombardi's name on it. I'll tell you that.
Hey, don't forget Ventnor City Twilight Holiday Parade weekend. The tree lighting at City Hall is coming up on Friday, December the 5th. Yes, we're already talking about the Christmas season here. But everyone who walks in to Ventnor Social gets one ticket, and at halftime, whoever's ticket gets called gets a prize. They're going to spin the wheel as well all throughout the Eagles game. That's at Ventnor Social this Sunday for the Eagles and the Rams. When we come back, we're going to look at the Phillies' final weekend out in Arizona before they come home in the playoffs. Your text messages as well at 609-403-0973. Hey, don't forget, that sounder's going to go off 4 more times today to enter to win Eagles-Giants tickets for Thursday Night Football. More Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. All right, welcome back. Sports Pass Live, 97.3 ESPN. We're live at the Down Beach's go-to sports bar, Ventnor Social. 27 TVs, I should say. 27 touchdowns would be a big day for Saquon Barkley. State-of-the-art sound system, the place to be for game time, Ventnor Social. Featuring a family-friendly arcade and 2 daily happy hours. The menu has a diverse American cuisine and all sorts of great cocktails, seafood dishes, upscale flair. It's a laid-back coastal vibe. It's Ventnor Social. Stop out and see us. We're here till 6 o'clock. Happy Hour Friday, everybody on the Sports Bash. Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City, pressofac.com, joins us each Friday at this time. And, of course, the Sports Live on 97.3 ESPN. We take a look at what we got going on, Mike, and it's Phillies, Arizona. It's the final weekend road series. What did we learn about this team out in LA? Because I thought it was interesting. They won the series 2 out of 3, but as Bob Nightingale tweeted yesterday, they struck out an awful bunch of times against the starting pitching of the Dodgers. So what do we make of it? Is it, hey, they won 2 out of 3 against the Dodgers on the road? Or do you look at those strikeouts and the lack of success against Ohtani, Sheehan, who came in relief, and then obviously Blake Snell on Wednesday night?
Well, Mike, it's interesting. I think what you learn is, you take the results first of all. You take 2 out of 3 on the road against the Dodgers, and you would take that all the time. But the flip side is what you saw is a preview of playoff baseball, where it's very difficult to hit elite starting pitching. And these games often turn on 1 swing or 2 swings off the bullpen late game. Those swings went the Phillies' way. Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday, Snell dominates them. But I think you saw a team more than capable of winning the World Series. I think, again, it's just going to come down to, getting that key out or getting that key big hit, big home run in the late innings. That's going to be the difference in these games, and that's playoff baseball.
Yeah, we know that the Phillies, I'll tell you what, I don't know if you made it through all those games, those late-night games, but watching that game late night against Blake Snell, and then Bob Nightingale tweeted, the Phillies hit 0-54 with 24 strikeouts in 56 at-bats against the Dodgers starting rotation. It gave me a little playoff PTSD. That's all. 0-56 with 24 strikeouts. I'm thinking, that's not that felt like playoff baseball, all right.
Yeah, I mean, a deja vu of the past, right? We've seen them struggle against elite pitching in the playoffs before, and then you throw in the caveat that the Dodgers pulled Ohtani after 5 innings. If it was a playoff game, would they have let him gone back out for the 6th or 7th inning? And also the Dodgers made an inexplicable bad decision, but you can almost count on that from Dave Roberts by starting the opener on Monday night. If the Dodgers go straight to Sheehan in that game, they might win that game. So, hey, I think what you saw is a team, capable of winning the World Series, but it's going to be a battle. It's going to come down to an at-bat here, an out here, a defensive play here. I would take solace in the fact of the Phillies didn't hit the starters, but they hit the bullpen. They pitched well themselves. They didn't look overmatched against the Dodgers, and I think that's what you're looking for this time of year.
All right, Mike, obviously it's the final road series out there, but they did reshuffle the pitching a little bit. Give me your thoughts on the messaging behind why they did what they did with the pitching. Starting tonight, it will be Taijuan Walker piggybacking with Walker Buehler, and then they kind of set it up. It looks like to get Christopher Sanchez to start game 1 and Ranger Suarez to start game 2 and Jesus Luzardo to start game 3. Is that how you read it?
Yeah, that's how I read it, and I like it. Obviously, Christopher Sanchez, one of the best pitchers in all of baseball, is probably going to finish second to Paul Skeens in the Cy Young. He's got to get the ball in game 1. There's no doubt you have to throw the 3 lefties. I know teams don't like to throw 3 lefties. They don't like hitters to get comfortable against lefties. One of the advantages the lefties have is you don't see them as much as right-handed, so they can kind of take you by surprise. But I like putting Ranger Suarez in game 2. First of all, he's a different type of pitcher than Suarez and Sanchez. He doesn't throw as hard. He relies more on command. And plus, I always say, as I said, you lose game one, who do you want going to the mound in game two with your season basically on the line? Jesus Luzardo or Ranger Suarez? To me, it's Ranger Suarez because he's done it before in the postseason. So I have no issue at all. I would set it up the same way. Sanchez, Suarez, Luzardo. That's the way I would go. I like how they've done it. And that's how I would roll in the postseason with those three guys.
Mike, if you're watching this team the last week here and you saw the team start to struggle a little bit, is that something that worries you about entering the playoffs with that week off if you enter in kind of an offensive malaise?
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious, right? I mean, you want the team going in, as hot as possibly can be. But they are going to have that off. They're going to be off from Sunday to Saturday. So they're going to have are hot. Are they going to cool off? Do they have to get hot again in the postseason? I don't think there's anything you can do about it. You can, spend your nights tossing and turning about it. We can debate it endlessly. But at the end of the day, they're either going to get hot in the postseason or they're not. And now, Mike, we've seen it in the past. Nick Castellanos is a perfect example back in, I guess it was 2023, where he was on fire at the beginning of the playoffs and then got cold as ice at the end of the playoffs because the playoffs last so long now. They last basically the entire month. So, yeah, we would all want them to be hot going into the playoffs, stay hot. But, boy, that's just not realistic. We can spend all our times worrying about it. But, a guy who is cold this weekend, there's nothing to say he can't be hot 2 weeks from now when the playoffs start. So I wouldn't read a whole lot into who's hot and who's not as the playoffs begin, only because you have that break and you're almost starting from scratch when the playoffs start again.
All right, Mike, I know it's probably going to be on the roster, but would Nick Castellanos be on Mike McGarry's playoff roster?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's going to start against left-handed pitching, and he's going to be a pinch hitter against a tough left-handed reliever in late innings. But that's his role. That's the role that he is going to fulfill in right field. So he would be on there as a starter against left-handed pitching and a pinch hitter against left-handed relievers. The real question is, what do you do with the postseason roster? Do you maybe add a Johan Rojas to the postseason roster? So if you do pinch hit Castellanos late in the game, and let's say he does get a big hit and gives you the lead, can you then put Castellanos or Rojas rather in the field and have like an outfield of Marsh, Bader, and Rojas out there instead of Castellanos for defensive purposes? That's the real question there. But Nick Castellanos, is he going to get the at-bats he got in the last three postseasons? No. He's going to be a platoon player in right field, and he's on the short side of the platoon right now.
Yeah, the Rojas thing is interesting because, at first it makes sense. I talked about this yesterday. I know Castellanos is probably going to be the starter, oddly enough, but does his bat offer any more than Weston Wilson or Otto Kemp's bat?
Well, good question. Very good question. And you could add his approach at the plate, add any more than those two guys. I think they're just going to continue with the way they've gone this season. They're going to play him in right field. They're going to trust him almost because you have to trust your guys to a degree. I know you want to win the game, but it's almost to me like I think if they make it through the NLDS and they get to the NLCS and they need a starter in the NLCS, I think that guy's going to be Erin. For the same reason you're going to run Nick Castellanos out there.
Yep.
They're veterans on the team. They've done it before. They've served you well in the past. I think that those guys or leave them off a roster sends a message that you don't want to send to the rest of the club.
Yeah, I listen, I agree that he's going to be there. I'm just saying in my head, Kemp can play second, third, first. You can play him in the outfield. I like his approach better. Wilson can play second. He can play left. He can play third. He can play first. I certainly like his approach better. Both Kemp and Wilson have had big hits recently here. And then you mentioned Rojas. You can't have Kemp, Wilson, Rojas, and Castellanos. Someone is the odd man out. So I would rather have Rojas' speed and defense than Castellanos, who essentially of that group of guys offers me the least.
Yeah, I mean, that's if you do that, it's going to be a bold move, and that would be a firestorm. I remember back in the early 2000s, I think Joe Torre hit Alex Rodriguez eighth against the Detroit Tigers in a playoff series, and I thought all of New York kind of heads imploded at once, and it was a national controversy and stuff like that. Obviously, Nick Castellanos is not the player of Alex Rodriguez is, but if you take an established guy out of the lineup or leave him off the roster, it's just going to create headaches that are, in my mind, not worth it. The juice is not worth the squeeze right there, basically.
All right, Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City, pressofac.com. What games are you keying in on this weekend for the high school world?
High school, we got two big games tonight. Winslow Township and St. Augustine. Winslow Township is 1-2, but they're acknowledged as the best team in South Jersey. They're number one in our Elite 11. Their losses are to IMG Academy and Bergen Catholic, and they're testing themselves against a great St. Augustine team that is off to an impressive 3-0 start. With Roman Coney at running back, establishing himself as one of the top backs in South Jersey. That's an interesting game. You've got Camden going to Holy Spirit tonight for a 6 o'clock kickoff at Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit is one bounce back from their season opening loss to Northern Highlands. Ty Costable at quarterback for the Spartans. Spirit got a big win over Camden last year. At this point in the season, it kind of really propelled them to their 10-2 record. We'll see if they can do it again. And then Atlantic City and Ocean City. Atlantic City hosts Ocean City, 6 o'clock tonight. Atlantic City, 2-1. They lose, give up 3 defensive touchdowns, and they lose to Cedar Creek 45-34. It's amazing that the game was that close, having given up 3 defensive touchdowns. They'll try to rebound against a really good 2-1 Ocean City team. So those are kind of 3 key high school games for the fans tonight to look out for.
You can read about them in the Press of Atlantic City, pressofac.com. Mike's back on Monday. We'll look back at the Phillies weekend, Eagles, Giants, NFC East, and everything else here on the Sports Bash. Thanks, Mike.
All right, Mike. We'll see you down the road. Enjoy. Thank you.
All right, there's Mike. And coming up next, Nick Sirianni. He spoke to the media today, and he was really laying it on thick to the referees. You'll hear what Nick had to say about the tush push and the refs. You think he was lobbying for something? Find out next when the Nick Sirianni press conference Friday edition is on the Sports Bash live on 97.3 ESPN. All right, time for the Nick Sirianni press conference. He spoke earlier today. A lot of questions regarding the tush-push, how it's officiated. You'll hear Nick Sirianni really laying it on thick to the officials. Take a listen. Here's Nick Sirianni, the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Nate, you guys, every week you get those referee tapes. This week they, said they were going to call it tight with the tush-push or the sneak play. How do you handle that when something like that comes?
Yeah, you just address it, and you work on, like you do with every play, of being playing to the rules of the game. I mean, that's something that we talk about all the time, formationally, snap count wise, offensively is what I'm saying. Defense wise, being onside, all those different things. So, same way you do all those things. I know there's a lot of chatter and hype about the play, but we're coaching it the same way we always coach it, and we know we have to be right, not only on that play, but with all our plays.
How do you feel like your relationship with officials on the sidelines has evolved over the 5 years as a head coach?
Yeah, I really respect how hard their job is and the job that they have to do. Like, nobody's high-fiving a referee after a play, or whatever it is, and saying, great, well, I guess maybe sometimes if you're on the benefit of it, but they have a really hard job. I mean, it's, and I think, obviously I'm emotional on the sideline, and I think throughout the years, I've come to understand more and more how hard their job is, and they're not getting any love or anything like that. So that doesn't mean, like, in the heat of the moment there's not an argue about a call, but I think my personal growth there has been much better, from day one, and you try to grow in everything that you do. But I can't tell you how much I respect the job that they have to do and how they have to do it. They have to make these split-second decisions, and half the people in the world are gonna hate their call, and half the people in the world are gonna love their call, and that's a tough job. And so, I think I can't say enough how much I respect the job that they have to do, and when you're in those things, when you're in those heat of the battle things, you just, respect that. And because it's a really tough job.
Do you think the interactions, good or bad, can affect how they officiate a game?
No, because I think they're very professional, and I think I think all those guys are very professional, and they know, hey, he's arguing this call, and I think, I guess I don't think in the sense of, like, old school coaching is like, if I yell at him this one, I'll get this one. Maybe I don't, like, because that used to be the theory, right? If you get on somebody about this one, maybe you'll get the next call. I think they do such a good job of individualizing each play, each situation, regardless of what's happened. Again, I can't tell you enough of how good I think they do under the circumstances they have to do it with, because it's really, hats off to them, because it's a really hard job, and I respect the job that they do, and the league office does with them and everybody. So, we don't, I guess we don't give, I'm guilty of it too, we don't give enough love to our referees that enforce the rules of this game. Because if I'm calling the calls, like, every week, like, and it's up to the coaches, like, you play a pickup basketball game and you're like, all right, we got the fouls this game. That doesn't usually work out. So very necessary.
Tom Brady called your game last week. Presumably he'll call more of your games this season. You play Vegas this year. What's your approach in those production meetings with him? Yeah,
a production meeting's similar to what I'm in here too. Like, you just, you're going, it's an interview. Right, it's an interview, so very similar. All my interactions with Tom Brady have been really positive, really good, and respect the heck out of him, and his view on football and what he's done, and so have nothing but respect for him. But I would say those production meetings, regardless of the crew, are very similar to an interaction that we have here in our building.
What stands out to you about Saquon in games where he's not hitting
the home run, so to speak, but he has to kind of grind out the yards.
Yeah, just tough, gritty guy that you know, that at any point can hit a home run. You know, I think that's why, you know, he can make yards out of sometimes where the defense got our number on it. And so I respect that in any player that, you know, where it's a gritty, grimy game, and you got to make the plays that you make. And sometimes it's not even like, oh, hey, that was a 4-yard run. Sometimes it's like, hey, it was a 2 yards, a really good run. And so, yeah, you just admire his mental toughness, you admire his toughness, you admire the offensive line's toughness and the offense's grit to push through those moments. And, you know, when you're grinding it out, but, you know, just happy he's on our team.
You talked a lot since you've been here about one of your favorite parts of coaching is helping a player grow off the field. You've been with Jordan Davis since he got here, the highs, the lows. He's playing at a high level right now. He's, you know, in good shape. I was wondering your perspective on his journey and maybe like the pride you feel watching him play at a high level now.
Yeah, he's obviously playing at a very high level right now, and he's worked really. I love when guys work their butts off to achieve their goals and help the team win, and he's obviously done that. You know, probably had to go through, you know, a lot of questions about him early on, and just his mental toughness to be able to push through that and just continue to grow and develop as a player has been awesome. And the shape that he's in, he's obviously worked really hard to be in that shape, and he's showing that out in the field, and you know, that consistency and obviously Jordan Davis, you know, is well liked in the locker room, well liked with the coaches. I mean, he's a guy that when he comes into this building brings a smile to everybody's face. You can't be around, you've seen him, you've talked to him, right? You can't be around Jordan Davis and not leave that conversation feeling good about yourself and good about your team and everything like that. And that's a special quality that he has. So obviously happy for him that, you know, he's worked so hard to be playing this level, but the person is top notch. The teammate is top notch, and he's tough, he's talented, and then has all that other stuff. That's where, you know, we talk about that in the draft quite a bit, is like when a guy loves football, he's tough, and can go through the ups and downs of a season. Those guys usually, God willing, reach their ceiling.
Two more, folks. It's probably not as high a thing to talk about, but you know, the new kickoff rule and the Rams, their average opposing starting of the drives is the best in the NFL. How is that kind of on y'all's mind, and how does that affect kind of how it changes the game, your approach on offense?
Yeah. Yeah, obviously we look at all those things. We look at every phase, and they do a good job with their kickoff coverage. Their kicker does a really good job, so we've worked on that all week.
Nick, you start where the schedule has unfolded. You open with a division rival. You have a Super Bowl rematch. Now you have a divisional rematch. Is there any challenge as coaches or players to kind of tap into that emotional well continually, and so nobody comes out flat? I mean, is there anything you can do to prevent that?
No, I mean, I think we have a group of guys in this locker room that works their butt off to be ready for each and every Sunday, and that love football. And, you know, you know, you might not start fast at times offensively or defensively, but with this group, I don't think the word flat's like I think it's a flashy word to use when, you know, you might not start fast. Like, there's different reasons for not starting fast, and our intention every week is to start fast, obviously, on both sides of the football. But there's reasons for it, and we're going to come out ready. We know that the Rams are going to come out and ready to play. We got to come out ready to play. That's part of the process of practice. To have confidence in the plan, that's part of the process of practice. When you might take a period off here and there to make sure they're fresh in those scenarios. And so can't tell you how much respect I have, again, for this Rams team that we've played often these last 2 years, these last 3 years. I think they got phenomenal players all over the board, and I think Coach McVay is one of the best coaches in the NFL, and I know he'll have his team ready, and, you know, that's our goal, obviously, as well.
There's Nick Sirianni, who, by the way, he says McVay and that team, he's beaten them 3 times. He's 3-0 against Sean McVay. And there is head coach Nick Sirianni, brought to you by Broadlee's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, serving South Jersey since 1911, keeping your home comfort game day ready this season. Coming up, John McMullen on the latest on the Eagles as they get ready for the Rams. Is this their biggest challenge of the season? Find out next. But first, I need caller 7. It's your final day to enter to win tickets to see the Eagles and the Giants Thursday night game. Caller 7 right now, 609-573-3776, 609-573-3776. Caller number 7. You are entered in for a chance to win Eagles-Giants tickets at MetLife Stadium for Thursday night football. You must be present to win on Wednesday. The Sports Bash will be live at Maynard's in Margate. We will be live from 2 to 6, and one lucky winner will walk away with a pair of tickets, transportation to and from MetLife Stadium, and an awesome Eagles tailgate party that you're going to want to be a part of. But you must qualify first. Caller 7, 609-573-3776. Caller 7, good luck. John McMullen from Sports Illustrated joins me next. Hour 2 of the Sports Bash Live here at Ventnor Social. So we had a bunch of people come on out. This woman had a great hat on. Did you see the hat on?
It was like a captain's hat.
Yeah,
right?
like a captain's hat, but it had an Eagles logo on
Yep.
it. Stop out and get your picture taken with the Lombardi Trophy. We're having it here till 6 o'clock tonight. Ventnor Social right here on Ventnor Avenue in Ventnor. We've got so much happening. This is the place to be on the island if you're watching the games. See, what I like about it, too, they have the sound on. I verified that. Sound is on. But the place is big, spacious, wide, 27 TVs.
They have arcade back there as well for little kiddos.
Yeah, arcade back there. Also an upstairs, which is where a lot of people are hanging out right now. So it's so nice outside. They have the upstairs deck. You can stop out on the deck upstairs and stop out here to Ventnor Social. We're here till 6 o'clock tonight. The Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. Getting you ready for the Eagles and the Rams this weekend. And the Eagles and the Rams, they have played twice last year, and they're going to play again on Sunday. By the way, congratulations, Eric in Margate. He was our qualifier for the 2 o'clock hour. Eric in Margate, we'll see you at Maynard's in Margate. Doesn't have to go far for the show on Wednesday. 3 o'clock hour of the Sports Bash is brought to you by Broadlee's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, your trusted source for heating and plumbing service and installation for generations. Call 609-390-3907, online at broadlees.net. You know, the big story of this game, as we have a lot of text messages coming in throughout the show that we'll kind of read off and react to. Jeff says, Mike, don't forget the first half of the game was played on a dry field, and the Rams almost went down 13 with 4 minutes in the snow. Eagles beat the Rams twice last year. They will win again 24-13. He also adds the Eagles have won 11 straight home games at Lincoln Financial Field. The last time they lost was September 16th of 2024 against Atlanta. So let's give the Birds a little bit more credit. All right, Jeff, I like that text, but I will throw this out there. Let's go to this text message from Paul in Millville. See what you guys think about this. Mike, remember a couple of years ago when San Francisco came into our place and destroyed us after saying they were better than us after the championship game? I am getting those same blowout vibes again. That San Francisco game came when our offense was barely skating by. I fear that without a creative offense or a Barkley explosion, that the Birds will be run out of the link. That is 31-10.
Oh, my goodness.
Rams from Paul in Millville. So is that a fair thought that you got two teams that rematch of the playoffs? The Rams think they should have won that game last year. They think they are the better team. The 49ers thought the same thing. They came in here. When that Eagles team was starting to hit, they were reeling a little bit. They were kind of skating by. And then they got punched by the Niners and never could recover. Does this week's game give anybody else those kind of vibes?
Not to me, because Vic Fangio is too good of a defensive coordinator to let that happen. To let them come in here and blow you out and score over 30 points, I just don't see it.
31-10 is the score that Paul from Millville gave. But listen, I'll tell you this. They have the personnel to be able to put up some points. If you get, as you mentioned, Adoree Jackson, you get him lined up with Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua. You know, they got a good running game, and you can start firing shots down the field. If Adoree Jackson is as weak as everybody thinks he is. Now, I thought he had a better game last week if you watch the tape. He actually had some moments in the game that he kind of cleaned up a little bit. Is he great? No. By no stretch of the imagination, he was nowhere near as bad as he was the first week of the season. He is a veteran guy. But
now Bennett, on the other hand, he has not been too good, right? I mean, he is not for the trade that was made during training camp. Bennett really
hasn't really played all that much.
He hasn't, but why is that?
Good question. I mean, I thought he played well in the first game against Dallas in limited snaps, and I'm wondering why he hasn't been out there more. But, I mean, obviously they feel better with Adoree Jackson being the veteran right now. I think that maybe they're waiting for Bennett to kind of, get the terminology. And remember, last year it was week 4 when they finally decided to when they were able to make the switch to Cooper DeJean.
Oh, okay.
When they finally benched Avonte Maddox, and then they went to Cooper DeJean. I don't want to say finally benched. Cooper wasn't healthy.
They also had that meeting with Sirianni to say the offensive lineman came in there and said, let's switch to the run game. Right. That was during that time period as well.
All right. We got text messages continuing to come in, 609-403-0973. But Paul in Millville says he's getting the vibes from that San Francisco game from a couple of years ago. And that was when the Eagles really kind of fell apart. It was after that San Francisco game. And he's looking at this offense, and he's seeing the same kind of thing where the offense is kind of struggling along here. And it seems that he's concerned that they can find their footing against this Rams defense. You know, the Rams, by the way, their defense is a smallish defense. So let's get John McMullen from Sports Illustrated and Birds 365. John, you know, one of our listeners just texted in and says he's getting the vibes from that San Francisco game. You know, when the Eagles kind of fell apart that year, that was the game. And he's stating, you know, the offense was struggling at that point. You know, they just kind of couldn't get anything going. And then they got bombed by San Francisco. And then the whole season kind of fell apart. Is this a kind of game where that could kind of where the Rams are saying, hey, we have something to prove. We feel that we are the better team.
Yeah, well, I certainly don't get that feeling because the comparison to that season where it goes off the rails is the defense, because the defense was the far bigger problem that season than the offense. So arguably they had the worst passing defense in the NFL by the time the collapse finished. So obviously with Vic Fangio here, you don't have those same concerns. As far as the offense, I compare it to the Baltimore game and the Carolina game last year, back to back, very few passing yards, but that happened in season. And now you've seen it week 1 and week 2. The week after that was the Pittsburgh game last year, and that's when they got back on track. So, look, the passing game obviously has to be better, but this is the 4th time this has happened over the past 2 years. It happened a bunch last year as well. And, you know, people don't care or remember to care because the Eagles ultimately ended up by winning a Super Bowl. I think they'll have corrections. I think they'll have games. What you're not going to have is consistent high volume passing. That's not how this team plays. That's not how they're built. And I understand it frustrates people because they have such good receivers and a good tight end. They should be able to throw the football more consistently, but this is how they played last year. Same thing. But you haven't had the personality of a game where they've needed to throw the football, to have the urgency to throw the football.
I agree with everything you're saying. The one thing that I would just kind of paddle back your way is saying that theoretically the schedule is more challenging. Do you need to evolve the offense more to kind of navigate yourself through this year's schedule?
Well, you always want to evolve, but I think, you know, that evolves. I think, for instance, Jalen Hurts does a lot more at the line of scrimmage now than he used to when Jason Kelce was calling protections. So they have involved things. I think people are conflating evolution with the passing game. I don't think that's necessarily has to be the case. You could argue they evolved the offense. They just did it in a different way. I heard you guys talking about week 4 and the bye week at last year when they scaled back and went to more of a run presence. They went on to, you know, win every game but one, and the one game they lost was the game that Jalen Hurts got injured 6 minutes into the game, and Washington won it with 6 seconds left. So the point I'm trying to make is they were very successful with this style of football. So to me, it's carried over, and I think it's going to continue until somebody actually beats them and forces them out of that style of football.
Yeah, you know, it's an interesting matchup this week, John. I want to get your thoughts on where they go because obviously Saquon, 200 yards against them both games last year. He had big runs against them and went over 200 in the regular season and then again in the postseason game. He averages more yards against the Rams than any team he has ever faced in the NFL.
But their weak spot seemingly is also in the secondary. They got some problems over there as well. So is this a week where Kevin Petula do we get the classic line from Jalen Hurts? Is that what you all wanted to see? Or do you just keep it simple, Stoop, and hand the ball off to Saquon and let him get his 200?
Well, I think it's if he gets 200, if he's on pace for that kind of game, yeah, I think it's keep it simple, stupid. I think if the personality of the game demands more passing, they'll pass it. I think it's as simple as that. So, I got a kick out. I was reading Jared Verse talking earlier this week out in Los Angeles. He's like, well, if we didn't give up those 4 runs, we would have beat them last year. And I'm like, well, yeah, you would have, but you gave up 70, 72, 78, and 62. So, that's part of the game. And they're very undersized. They're not a good run support team. So to me, it's like you're coming into this game with the mentality that we can't run. Like, how does that make sense after what went on last year? That's exactly what you should be trying to do against this team and making them prove that they can stop Saquon Barkley in the running game.
Well, they did. I see what you're obviously right. They got 4 plays, but they had him bottled up for a lot of that game. Was close. I mean, at the end of the day, that was a close game. And then, of course, he bangs the big ones, but hasn't been able to do that this year. If he can't do that this year, or in this game, I should say, because I think Barkley won't be able to blast a couple big ones. They do bottle him up, and he can't get that big one. I guess the question a lot of people are asking is, do the Eagles have that other gear? Can they win it another way? We've all seen it. We all know the answer is yes to that question, correct?
Yeah, we just haven't seen it this year yet. And it'll come. I don't know if it'll come this week. It's to me, again, it's dependent on just how the game unfolds. And if the Rams are clicking offensively and they're protecting Matthew Stafford, then they're going to score some points. And if they score some points, the Eagles are going to have to respond, and they're going to have to come out of this little shell they've kind of built for themselves where it's about not turning the football over. And you have to take a few more chances, and a few more chances will turn into more big plays in the passing game.
Last year in the playoff game, they blitzed a lot against the Rams. I mean, they set a lot of pressure at Stafford. Stafford last year against the pressure, he got sacked a couple of times. Last week we saw the Eagles blitz more than usual. Do they dial up the blitz again this week?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, that's normally, like dialing up the blitz for Big Fangio isn't dialing up the blitz for Steve Spagnuolo. As you mentioned, last week was very sort of anti-Big Fangio. And I think that had more to do with the issues Kansas City was having at receiver. And he felt very comfortable sending that extra pressure. This week, I don't think he's going to feel as comfortable because this might be the best group of receivers the Eagles are going to face all season, really, with Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams and Willingham and Juju Atwell and Tyler Higbee's a good tight end, et cetera. So they have a lot of weapons. And also, from the Eagles' standpoint, they don't have Darius. They have Adoree Jackson. So you don't have those 3 corners. You have an obvious weakness. And Matthew Stafford's the type of quarterback, and Sean McVay's the type of coach that is going to try to pick on that weakness with Adoree Jackson. So you're probably going to have to help him out a little bit more than maybe Vic would prefer. But where I think it turns up for, and obviously this is the Delaware Valley, so people are obsessed with the blitz and always have been. But I think where they're more likely to do it this year than ever before is the red zone, because they do have John Campbell now to team with Zach Vaughn. So I think they have better players to do it. And I think in high leverage situations when it's condensed space, like the red zone, he might be more apt to do it then.
John McMullen, Birch, 365 at Sports Illustrated. You know what's funny, when the schedule comes out, you look at a bunch of games. This game here, obviously, they played in the playoffs. But right now, would you say that this Rams team might be the most challenging game on their schedule?
I don't have the now. Green Bay is on the schedule, so I would say no.
You like Green Bay better than the Rams, then, right?
Yeah. I think.
I don't know, man. The Green Bay offense, does it work? I mean, they don't have an Akua. They don't have a Adams. I mean, Kyron Willis is, I don't know, Matthew Stafford and Jordan Love. I think I kind of like the Rams offense maybe a little better.
Yeah, well, I don't, they have a bunch. Now, the problem is Jaden Reed is hurt, Tucker Kraft is hurt, so maybe they have some short-term issues when it comes to that, but it doesn't seem to be serious with Kraft, at least. With Reed, it might be a problem. So injuries could always change it, but they have a better offensive line. Josh Jacobs better than Kyron Williams. He doesn't fumble the football like Kyron Williams does. I would agree Stafford is still better than Jordan Love at this point, but Jordan's younger. I think the ceiling's higher. And defensively, I mean, they've been playing off the charts. I think Jerry Jones screwed the NFC, to be perfectly honest. Right now, the first 2 weeks, it's only 2 weeks, but clearly through the first 2 weeks, which doesn't matter. It's very small sample size, but that's the best team in the NFC.
All right, John McMullen, First 365, and, of course, Sports Illustrated, the Eagles and the Rams this week here. The Rams are, right there, the Rams and Green Bay, those two teams, because you look through the schedule now and you're like, okay, Denver doesn't seem to be the same as they were. Minnesota, the quarterback problems. Detroit, we'll find out more about them. The Chargers, that team looks pretty good when you get down to December. And, of course, the Commanders are having some issues right now. It looks like Jane Daniels is out this week, so the schedule all of a sudden. It's funny how you play the schedule game in May, and it feels a lot different when you get to the third week of September already. But in this particular game, what is the one area about the Rams that is worrying the Eagles right now?
Receivers, and matching up with them with the Dory Jackson. So to me, this is a big front game for the Eagles. And by that, I mean the pass rush has to get, not necessarily sack Matthew Stafford, but they have to get him. They have to speed him up, get him off the spots. Because if he's comfortable throwing the football, he's going to find open space and with those receivers and make some plays. So I think from that standpoint, but I do think, the weakness of the Rams offense is probably the offensive line. It's good. It's not, it's above average, but it's not great. And I think the Eagles look at that as a chance to get it in the hurry up, as I said, Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, we'll see. Zadarius Smith, what kind of impact he has. He had an impact. He played 20 snaps last week, had an impact in those 20 snaps. We'll see. You anticipate he plays more this week, John?
Yeah, a little bit. Just got done talking to him. 25-30, I think it's going to ramp up. I think the whole plan with Zadarius is to get him on the field in obvious passing situations. So, I don't think he's going to become a 50-snap player. So once they get him to that wheelhouse of about 30, 35, I think that's where they will be. But they're going to be high leverage snaps. And then you let the younger guys do all the sort of lifting on first and second down.
John McMullen, everybody. We got Eagles Rams Sunday. You can listen to the game right here on 97.3 ESPN. Merrill Reese, Mike Quick, they have the call at 1 o'clock. And you can check out John McMullen Monday at 8 a.m. on the Jacob Media YouTube channel, recapping it all. And, of course, post-game and everything else. John has all the coverage at Sports Illustrated at JF McMullen and right here on the Sports Pass. John, appreciate you, pal.
All right, thank you.
There he is, John McMullen, everybody here on that's live on 97.3 ESPN. And, of course, John McMullen on this Friday edition. He's brought to you by Boardwalk Honda. Shop their lineup of new, pre-owned, and certified pre-owned Hondas online at boardwalkhonda.com. When we come back, Erin Coscarelli is our outside view today. She has actually just texted me. She is at Rams practice, and they are just wrapping up on the practice field at practice. So she will pop on the stream with us and join us on the radio side as well. Coming up in just a couple of moments on the Sports Bash Live, our outside view. We head to L.A. with Erin Coscarelli of Believe in Rams. She joins me next on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN.
put it all together, his all-purpose total yards against the Los Angeles Rams last year, 534 total yards and 4 touchdowns. But this weekend, I think the Rams are going to stop Saquon this time. I kind of think the Rams can stop Saquon this time. You know, I mean, Saquon hasn't really set the house on fire over the last couple weeks. And, I mean, the Rams have looked pretty good on defense. So I think the Rams can stop Saquon this time.
Eisen on the Rich Eisen Show here on 97.3 ESPN. He thinks the Rams can stop Saquon. Over 500 yards rushing the last 2 times they've played. Over 200 back-to-back times. He averages more yards against the Rams than any other than any other team in football. Over 160 yards per game against the Rams. Is this the week the Rams can stop Saquon? One person might have the answer. Erin Coscarelli from Believe in Rams podcast. She joins us now live from L.A. with an update on the Rams fresh off the practice field and into the Sports Bash stream. What's going on, Erin? Welcome back.
Hi, you guys. Can you hear me okay? I'm literally inside the Rams media. Is my voice coming in okay? Can you hear me?
You are good. We hear you.
We're good?
Yep.
We're good. Okay. I mean, we're here coming in live from Los Angeles. Yeah, I'm in Woodland Hills. I was getting fresh practice footage. We just spoke with Sean McVay. It was the quickest press conference. I mean, he talked a lot about it on Wednesday. I was not here Wednesday. It's been a crazy week for us, Mike. But yeah, we're excited. I mean, look, it's an opportunity for the Rams to look at what they did last year, a good rematch game. And look, they have Devontae now. So things are looking up.
How much different does that make them? Because we were talking about, Cooper was awesome, but he was very similar to Puka. Now you've got a good complement out there with Devontae Adams. How much has he changed their offense?
I mean, look, he's made it so much more dynamic. I mean, he didn't show it necessarily week 1 when it came to the stat line, but you saw him last week. He opens up the offense. You get double coverage on Devontae, and then look at what Puka can do. I mean, both of them had a great game last week. And I think if they can repeat what they did in the second half of the Titans game and not come out slow, can't make any mistakes against the Eagles. I mean, look, it's going to be a tough test. Both of these teams. I mean, I don't know why it's a 10 a.m. kick. It should be a primetime game, but I think we'll know a lot about these two teams after week 3.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier, the fact that the game is a 1 o'clock Eastern game. It's a 10 o'clock for you guys out there. This feels like it should be 4:25 prime time, the big game of the week. This is the best game of the weekend. And I would ask you, Erin, the game last year they played in the in the NFC divisional round game. It was snowing. It was crazy, which means this game is so big because the winner could get the game in their building.
Yeah, exactly. No, and that's, I've been talking to all the media here. I'm like, what do you think the X factor's going to be? Or what do you think is different this time around? And look, I mean, they were one play away from being able to beat Philly in that inclement weather on the road in Philly's house. And look, we don't know how this is going to match up. A lot of different things have changed in terms of identity for both teams. Braden Fisk is going to be available. And I think now like we said, you have Devontae in the mix. The big factor is just going to be how can we slow down Saquon Barkley, if that's even possible. So
let's talk about that, because I know it was something you guys talked about on the Believe in Rams podcast. Is he had 255 yards and 2 touchdowns in L.A. In Philly, he had 205 touchdowns and 205 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's a total of 52 carries, 460 yards, 4 touchdowns. He ran for 70, 72, 62, and 78 yards. To which Jared Verse said, "Well, it was only those 4 runs. I mean, other than that, that's what happened." So has he and stopping Barkley been kind of the story at practice this week?
Yeah, of course. And a lot of people, our DC, Chris Shula, he was at the podium yesterday. And of course, the conversation is all about, what's changed and how are we going to be able to stop Saquon? And he said something kind of interesting. He said, he's such a dynamic player. Chris Shula said that if you try to load the box, you stop the run. The next thing you know, he gets a seam. There's nobody else to tackle. And there's just levels and layers to the vision of him that just people can't seem to take him down. It's why they're paying him the big bucks over there in Philadelphia. And I think, we haven't seen him necessarily have a breakout game thus far, but I think they're going to key in on trying to slow him down. And I think take away the passing offense. It's such a dynamic. Philly has such a dynamic offense, and that was what Coach McVay was saying today. He has so much respect for what you guys do on and off the field, but it's going to be a scary matchup for sure. And I think, like I said, it's going to say a lot about this Rams team, and we'll know game day.
Erin Coscarelli spending some time with us. Our outside view looks at the L.A. Rams. I got to ask about how much tush-push conversation has made its way to the West Coast, because let me tell you, it has been the story of the week over here. Nick Sirianni talked earlier today, and he was asked 6 ways to Sunday about what they're going to do about this and how it's officiated. But I would imagine the Rams saw it was used 7 times in the game last week.
I will say this too, Mike. Look, the Rams have had to face 2 mobile quarterbacks. I wouldn't say they're on the level of a Jalen Hurts, but they did have to contend with the Texans. They did have to contend with Cam Ward. And I think, not to say that puts the Rams in a position to kind of have momentum, but I think right now is a really good time for this Rams defense. Like you mentioned, Jared Verse wants another crack at it. And I think, the tush push has been a point of conversation, but you can tell Sean McVay doesn't really want to talk about it. So.
Well, I'll tell you what, Nick doesn't want to either, and he keeps getting asked about it, because I would imagine that it's going to be officiated way differently. I mean, last week it turned into a mess with the post-game saying that guys were offsides. You need to officiate it tighter. But that is one thing that's interesting. The Rams defense, they're a smaller defense here, and the Eagles in the game in L.A. last year kind of wore them down. It wasn't the case as much in the game in Philadelphia, so I'll be interested to see if they try to take Saquon away and make Jalen beat them, because so far the passing game has been nothing out here.
Yeah, I think that was kind of part of the conversation. If you want to talk about what the X factor is if you do stack the box, you try to take Saquon away. You haven't seen a huge breakout game against A.J. Brown, but that's the scary part. Is this week gonna be his breakout game? There's just dynamic weapons all over the place when it comes to the Philly offense, right? You have Jalen, you have AJ, you have Saquon, you have a plethora of ways to exploit a Rams defense. But I will say, I think we're tied for second in sacks. Our pass rush, our defense has really shown up in ways that has been impressive to certainly the Rams fans with what Chris Shula has been able to do. And I think they're looking to build on it. And hopefully they leave Philly with a win. But keep in mind, too, just for your fans to listen, remember Matthew Stafford did not play at all during training camp. This guy went into that Texans game and was pretty fresh in terms of, rhythm with his offensive playmakers. Devontae being one of them. Terrence Ferguson, the rookie out of Oregon, the tight end. So, it's just taking a little time. And of course, it's a 37-year-old quarterback. We were wondering, how is he going to take a hit, a sigh of relief when he got sacked that first game against the Texans? But, just keep in mind, Matthew Stafford had not thrown a football really in the entirety of training camp.
Yeah, and I know that, he's got some new weapons out there trying to connect with Devontae Adams. He did it last week with Devontae Adams, 6 catches over 100 yards, and that's an area where the Eagles defense can be beaten. Everyone's been going at Adoree Jackson. Where's an area on the Rams defense that would worry you this week in terms of how they could, how they match up with Philly? Where's the weak spot of the Ram defense?
Well, bad news coming out of, L.A. with Akella Witherspoon. They had to sign Trey Brown to get some depth in the secondary. And I think, that's a tough loss. Akella went down with a broken clavicle. He's on IR. And I think, the Rams secondary coach has said he feels really comfortable with the depth, but I think taking shots down the field because they're going to try to stack the box and slow down Saquon. They could try to sort of exploit some down the field, backfield options there in the secondary with Akello being out. So you're going to have some new guys in the sort of starting rotation, and I think that might be an opportunity to exploit. But certainly, one of the things I will say really quickly, Nate Landman has been an unbelievable addition to this Rams defense. He was a free agent signing, kind of like middle of the linebacker. That's not something that Sean McVay particularly invests in. And he's had back-to-back game-changing plays, that punch out against the Texans and then that fumble recovery last year. So the defense has made some unbelievable turnover type plays that the Rams offense have capitalized on, and they're going to look to try to do that again against you guys.
Rams are 6-0 against the spread in their last 6 road games and have covered 3 straight as an underdog. They are a 3.5-point underdog this week against the Philadelphia Eagles. Erin Coscarelli from Believe in Rams podcast, and you can get all the Rams coverage and hear more about this Rams and Eagles matchup from their perspective. That's our outside view today in L.A. We'll let you get back to work, Erin. We appreciate a couple minutes of your time, as always, and maybe another playoff matchup. We'll see you down the road.
Mike, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, take care. Erin Coscarelli, everybody on the Rams, and you got the outside view here on the Sports Bash live on 97.3 ESPN, and our outside view takes us to L.A. this week, and that is brought to you by Broadleaf's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, your trusted source for plumbing service and installation for generations. Call 609-390-3907. Online, broadleafs.net. She does a great job on the Rams podcast. But coming up, it's our unsportsmanlike moment of the day. Chris Canty chimes in on something you're not going to want to miss. That's coming up next, plus football at 4 with Andrew DiCecco, Knicks Nuggets. Sal Paolantonio at 5 o'clock tonight. And my Jersey Cal Friday 5 tonight at 5:30. That's all still to come on the Sports Bash Live. Couple quick betting themes for the game here for you, Peachy. You want to make a couple bucks.
All right, I'm ready for you.
Rams are 6-0 in their last 6 road games against the spread.
All right.
They have covered 3 straight as a dog. The Eagles are 14-2-2 against the spread against the Rams, going back to 1986.
Wow.
Matthew Stafford is 46-60-3 against the spread as an underdog. 9-11-1 with the Rams. And under Sean McVay, the Rams are 17-9 against the spread in their first 3 games of the season. A couple thoughts on the Eagles-Rams betting lines there. We'll throw some nuggets out to you all throughout the show. Plus, stick around for Knicks Nuggets today. I got a nugget for you, Pete, on Eric Lindros. See if you can get the connection here.
All right.
Eric Lindros, Mickey Morandini, and Cal Ripken Jr.
Which one does not belong in that sentence?
Well, Mickey Morandini, but. Coming up next is our unsportsmanlike moment of the day. Hey, we're live at Ventnor Social today, and you need to stop out here and stop out this weekend for the Eagles game. 1 o'clock, everyone who walks in gets 1 ticket, and at halftime, whoever's ticket gets called will get a prize. Plus, they get the prize wheel. I actually saw all the prizes. Do you see all the shirts? See that green Kelly Green polo?
Kelly Green polo, yep.
Man, that was nice. That's
and
a Nuggets
cooler.
polo.
Yep, that is a Nuggets
By the way,
polo.
I got to text some Nuggets today. You want to see it?
Yeah.
Get your on-air reaction to this text.
Oh, my goodness, he's got that hat. He bought the Phillies and
What
Elise hat.
caused Pete G to say, oh, my goodness, to that text message I just showed him? Find out Knicks Nuggets at 4:30 today on the Sports Bash live on 97.3 ESPN.
The problem is when it comes to the tush push, everybody crowds the neutral zone because it's such a tough play to execute. It's such a tough play to defend. And the officials have been lax when it comes to calling neutral zone violations, erring on the side of entertainment value. Well, the NFL, if they want to change the efficacy of the tush push, if they look at the play as being problematic, all they have to do is officiate that aspect of it, and it's going to make it exponentially harder for the Philadelphia Eagles or anybody else to execute a tush push.
Chris Canty this morning on Unsportsmanlike. It's our Unsportsmanlike moment of the day. Has to do with the tush push. Go figure, right? It's been the big story. Nick Sirianni got asked about it today during the Friday press conference. And Unsportsmanlike's moment of the day is brought to you by Whitehorse RV Center. Find fall closeout savings on 2025s and select pre-owned RVs. Shop now before they're gone at Whitehorse RV. Your RV adventure starts here. So Canty's point is, somebody texted it on Monday about, it's just a quarterback sneak. It's not. He just said the way people line up is so different from any other play. The defense lines up different. The offense lines up different. They're all in the neutral zone. They're all trying to get leverage.
And the one thing that could kill the tush push without it actually being banned is a 5-yard false start penalty. 3rd and 1 turns into 3rd and 6 real fast.
You know what? That's a great point.
And you can't run it. That's
a great point if official just says, you know what, I'm done with this stupid play.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw a flag
Throw
here.
the flag, and you can't run it on 3rd and 6 or 4th and 6.
So Canty's point is that the way that it is being, officiated is going to get even more scrutinized. And that could be the Eagles now are going to have a tougher and tougher time running this thing. And we talk about this because today during the press conference, Nick Sirianni, he went all out to try to win these refs over. He was laying it on thick.
Might as well send a fruit basket to Troy Vincent and whoever else,
He had 3 questions right out of the chute. He says, how do you feel your relationship with officials on the sidelines has evolved over the 5 years as head coach? Oh, these guys do a great job.
They do a terrible job, if you want to be honest. Come on.
He was just laying it on today, just letting the officials know how good of a job they do, because you're hearing stuff like what Chris Canty said is, when the defense lines up for that tush push, they are not lining up like a normal play. They are lining up with just everybody in that, and they're in the neutral zone. Helmets are over the line of scrimmage. It's just a mess. We're going to see how it all evolves, but somebody texted in, that's not true, though. The defense is in the neutral zone. That helps us. Look, they could be in the neutral zone, not in the neutral zone. So far, no one has figured out how to stop the play. No one has, I would say that. It's been stopped a handful of times.
I remember Jacksonville last year did a good job. That's about it.
Yeah, there was, they got stopped in the game last week, and then they just ran it again on the next play. You're not stopping it 2 plays in a row. That's what ends up being a big thing there, too.
And, again, we talked about it earlier this week. To do it 7 times,
yeah,
maybe you kind of played it out a little bit.
You drew too much attention to yourself.
That's right.
All right, coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, you guys know it. It's football at 4. Andrew DiCecco's here today. And by the way, the Eagles injury report just came out. Will Shipley is out for the game. Tanner McKee is questionable. Everybody else is good. Jalen Carter and Dallas Goedert is back for the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll get more on that coming up. And, of course, the matchups you need to watch as Andrew DiCecco joins us from the Inside the Birds podcast for Football at 4, coming up next. That right there is our contest sounder. Caller 7 right now, 609-573-3776. Caller number 7, get in, because this is one of your final chances to enter to win tickets to go see the Eagles-Giants game at MetLife Stadium. This is a Giant home game. It's Thursday night football. We're sending a busload of Eagles fans up to go see the Eagles-Giants game at MetLife Stadium. It includes 2 tickets to the game, transportation to and from MetLife Stadium, and an awesome, awesome tailgate party. 609-573-3776. You must be present to win at Maynard's in Margate on Wednesday when the Sports Bash is live and we will draw one lucky winner. And that winner is walking out of there with a pair of tickets to see the Eagles-Giants game. Caller 7
Smith on the first play. But if you have Dallas Goedert, let's say, even on those short slants to A.J. Brown, get your offensive skill players into the flow of the game, get Jalen Hurts, most importantly, in the flow of the game, and then you're now presenting a look where the Rams have to account for and respect, and they can't just sell out and try and tee off on Saquon Barkley.
All right, Andrew DiCecco is with us here looking at the matchups to watch here. Obviously, Philadelphia, you were at practice today. Will Shipley's back. Will he play in the game? Dallas Goedert back on the practice field. Will those guys play? And if they do, what does it add to this offense that has obviously struggled a little bit?
Yeah, well, Dallas Goedert certainly seems to be trending in the right direction. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, out there on the practice field. Will Shipley, he was not practicing on Wednesday, but Thursday and Friday he was. We'll have to wait and see what the official injury report says. That should be out shortly. And yeah, I mean, that's a positive sign, certainly for Goedert. Shipley we'll have to see. But I mean, I've mentioned this before. He presents such a unique dimension to the offense as a pass catcher. And I think he's been a positive development in terms of pass protection. And I like what he brings to the table. But Dallas Goedert, you saw how much they missed him last week, especially in the blocking department. I think having him there on the line of scrimmage will open things up for Saquon Barkley. Now, credit Saquon Barkley because a lot of his yards were earned, but I think you may see some more, room to run with someone like Goedert there who's better at the point of attack, certainly than Calcaterra or Kylan Branson. So that'll be another welcome addition if he's able to be good to go.
Yeah, that's a big thing that Calcaterra very good in the pass game receiving the ball, but you can obviously see the difference when they have to pass the ball. Now, you mentioned the Rams offense. This is a different team. Last year you had, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, those smaller, faster guys. Now, Nakua's still here, but they have a guy in Devontae Adams now. He is kind of the more traditional number 1A physical body style, and then Nacua on the other side. This seems to be a better complementary group of receivers than the two they had last year, even though Kupp is outstanding.
Yeah, and they also have Tutu Atwell, who's an undersized receiver, but can certainly get vertical. And you have to be mindful of where he is too, because one deep shot can alter the course of the game. But yet, because of that, because of the way that the Rams use their wide receivers, it's difficult to envision a scenario where the Eagles feel comfortable traveling Quinyon Mitchell. But make no mistake, this is going to be a game in which I'm expecting them to target Adoree Jackson. And Adoree Jackson presumably will see a lot of Devontae Adams. That's a clear mismatch in favor of the Rams. But that's where I believe that kind of is why I'm of the belief that the Eagles are going to have to throw in this game, because I do believe that the Rams will be able to score some points. McVay runs a unique offense, unlike a lot of play callers in the NFL where there's a lot of condensed sets and things like that. So that's certainly something that I'll be keeping an eye on.
Yeah, I'm interested, because you mentioned McVay. The Eagles have beaten the Rams, I think, 9 out of 10. Sirianni is 3-0 against them. They beat them in Week 12 last year, 37-20. The playoff game was obviously a lot closer. The Eagles seem to have their number here, but if you're looking at this Rams team from a defensive standpoint now, one of the things that we thought in the first game they played, Andrew, was they have the smallest defense. There was a lot of hype about their defense and the pressure they got from their young ends versus Fisk, who won't play. But they're a smaller defense, and I think that's where Philadelphia kind of wears them down, and you would think that could really be a factor in this game again as Sirianni looks to beat McVay for the fourth time.
Yeah, this could be a game where you see the Eagles maybe try to counter the Rams' quickness and ability to kind of have that short area explosiveness with power and physicality and the bully ball style that we saw the Eagles execute to perfection in the previous two matchups. I like a lot of their pieces. Byron Young, I think he has 3 sacks this year. Kobe Turner, their defensive tackle, is one of the more underrated interior players in the NFC, if not the NFL. And I mean, I think where the advantage is that they have is for the Eagles in that matter is in the passing game, because A.J. Brown versus presumably Emmanuel Forbes. Remember, Ahkello Witherspoon's not going to be playing in this game. That's a matchup that I like to kind of rewind it back to a couple years ago, where A.J., I believe, had 146 yards and 2 touchdowns against Forbes. physical. He probably outweighs them by about 40 pounds, if not more than that. It's imperative, I think, because they're shorthanded in the secondary that they try to get that rolling.
Andrew, earlier today, Nick Sirianni, did it sound like he was laying it on pretty thick to the officials here with this tush push? Do we anticipate this thing being under high scrutiny the rest of the season, including this week?
Oh, it's most certainly going to be, because now there's even more of a spotlight on it right now, right? And the more the Eagles are effective at it, the more that you're going to hear a lot more complaints around the NFL, and it's going to be talked about nationally even more so than it is now. It's funny, that was the primary topic of conversation this week by and large, but I mean, Eagles-Rams is the game on Sunday, and this seemed like the push play and all the discussion around it was the center of conversation. But obviously they're going to be looking at it and officiating it with a careful eye and making sure that they're trying to leave no stone unturned and try to appease everyone. And it's very hard. It's untenable. It's hard to officiate. But, yeah, that was kind of the sentiment that I got as well. But the Eagles do it with such detail, and they practice it so efficiently and so frequently that I think to sort of think that any team can run it the way that they do is discrediting the work that they put in to really fine-tune everything.
Real quick, we don't talk a lot about the special teams, but Jake Elliott, back-to-back 50-yarders last week. How much does his ability now to show that he can connect there change the way that Sirianni calls some of these games?
A lot, and it's warmer. It's going to be warm on Sunday. That's where the ball seems to go a little bit. You're able to get a little bit more distance on that. There's the new kicking balls this year, which I think plays a big part in why you're seeing so many long-range kicks throughout the NFL. But, yeah, I mean, you have to have a lot of confidence in what Jake's able to do. Jake has 258-yarders this season. The operation between Braden Mann, the holder, and new long snapper Charlie Hewlett has been pretty good. I talked to Charlie this week about learning his kicker because he's had many over his 10-year career where he was with the Browns. And I just think that this whole operation is so in tune and Jake Elliott is dialed in that it behooves the Eagles that, if you're in one of those tough spots, you trot Jake out there because he has just he's laser focused in on right now. And I think the weather is certainly going to help him drive the ball.
Yeah, that's a weapon that it's becoming a big topic in the league too. All these kickers, I guess the way they've changed the way the teams can bring their own balls in now. You're seeing teams set up. We saw the Cowboys they ran the ball to set up a 64-yard field goal. Last week, the Colts ran the ball to set up a 60-yard field goal. The kicking game is certainly getting a lot of attention the last couple of weeks here. With the return of Shipley, if he is able to play in the game, how does that add to the kicking return game? Would you have a Shipley-Bigsby return? Because they seemingly are kicking it away from Tank.
Great question. I mean, for me, I would assume that they would keep Tank Bigsby out there as their primary returner, given that they gave up a 5th and a 6th round pick with, that being the most prominent focus, at least this season. Plus, Shipley's still working his way back from the oblique and, just practiced 2 days, so we'll have to see if he's cleared. But I would think that you want to try and preserve him from any unnecessary hits in the kick return game. They also have A.J. Dillon back there. John Mechie has seen some opportunities. So it seems to me that the Eagles are comfortable with running a rotation of players back there because the kick return game is such a new element this season where you're able to kind of capitalize and use that as an advantage and put some explosive guys back there. So I think Bigsby will be the constant, but I'm not so sure that Shipley would be back there this week, just, fresh off the injury.
All right. We're talking with Andrew DiCecco here, getting a couple quick thoughts before the kickoff on Sunday. And, of course, you can listen to the game on 97.3 ESPN. It's something that you are still wondering about with this team, question that hasn't been answered for you. You've seen 2 weeks. We've got a lot of things here. What is something that you're still kind of thinking, I'm still trying to see if this question can be answered?
The passing game when they need to have it, because we haven't seen it through 2 games because they've been leading or they've had the game pretty well at hand. Is it a byproduct of them trying to be risk averse, or is it something that they're trying to work through as they sort of gauge what they are and what their identity is going to be as an offense? So I am confident in Kevin Patullo, and I think it's way too early to write him off or be overly critical. I've seen a lot of that this week, but I want to see, Mike, if the Eagles are able to really open things up when they have to, because in a game like this where the Rams can score, this is going to be a really big test.
All right, Andrew, obviously A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith haven't been a big part of the offense. Would you imagine that this week they get going, or do you imagine this is more of the Barkley week? So which way are they going to be? A more pass-heavy this week or a more run-heavy this week?
It just feels like they're going to go back to the well until the Rams try to stop it. And so for those reasons, I think this is going to be a big week for Saquon Barkley.
All right, Saquon.
Wouldn't surprise me if he gets 90-plus.
Yeah, Saquon, I was going to say, Saquon Barkley has more yards in 3 games against the Rams than any other opponent. He averages 166 yards against them. That's why this game is so interesting, because of his success against this particular team in recent years, but their inability to stop the pass. It really lends to a lot here, and we'll see. What matchup worries you the most from the Eagles' defense against the Rams?
Eagles' defense versus the Rams, I would have to say the secondary. Well, I mean, specifically Adoree Jackson, but also you saw some miscommunication in coverage last week with looked to be Reed Blankenship. You have a rookie back there in Drew Makuba. So with a veteran quarterback like Matthew Stafford, you might see them try to put them in flux or have them maybe guessing or second guessing. There might be some double moves in there with some of those veteran receivers that they have. So that's something to keep an eye on. Adoree Jackson, this is his biggest test. I thought he had a nice bounce back against the Chiefs. Again, you can look at their receiving core and say, well, he's supposed to. He's been in the league 9 years. But we'll see, because sometimes when you're able to put that first game behind you and rebound, you're able to build off that a little bit. But he's somebody who the Rams are certainly going to be targeting early in this one.
I love it. Should be a fun game. We'll see Matthew Stafford taking on Jalen Hurts. Obviously, 2 totally different style of quarterbacks. Those 2 guys, 2 of the better quarterbacks in this league. They'll match up on Sunday. You can listen to all the action right here on 97.3 ESPN. He is Andrew DiCecco. You can check him out on the Inside the Birds platform, InsideTheBirds.com, the Inside the Birds podcast, and right here on Football at 4 on the Sports Bash live on 97.3 ESPN. Enjoy the game, man. Enjoy the 1 o'clock game.
I appreciate it, Mike. You as well.
Take care. Andrew DiCecco, everybody, here on the Sports Bash. And, of course, that is brought to you by the Fanatic Sportsbook at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. The Gallery Bar, booking games. It's the place to be this football season. You know, Sunday's interesting because you got Eagles at 1 and the Phillies at 4. Last week you had the Phillies at 1 and the Eagles at 4, and now they are flipped this week because the Eagles are out in Arizona, so their 1 o'clock game is a 4 o'clock game this week. So you have Eagles at 1, Phillies at 4. Last week it was the same kind of thing, too. Last week you had the Cowboys-Giant game at 1, then the Eagles at 4, and the Phillies game at 1. This week, the Eagles are at 1, the Phillies are at 4, and the Cowboys play the Bears at 4 o'clock. So everything is kind of flipped from last week. We are at Ventnor Social over here in Ventnor, and you can watch all of those games, the 1s, the 4s, the Sunday nights, the college football. This is a great spot. If you're on the island or even off the island, if you want to drive over and check it out, you cannot beat the decor of this place. If you want to be in a place where you say, I want to feel football, I want to feel it, well, you can't beat the imagery of Saquon Barkley leaping over a Jacksonville Jaguars defender on the wall behind us when you walk in. It just gives you the feels. It gives you the football feels on this Happy Hour Friday. They got a great Happy Hour Friday selection as well at the bar. Great food, and obviously it's a great spot. You can go upstairs. It's a little warm out today. You can go upstairs and watch all the action up there on their upstairs deck bar as well. All right, coming up, it's Nick's Nuggets on the way, plus at 5 o'clock tonight, it's Sal Paolantonio. It's a Sal Pal Friday, and I have my Jersey Cal Friday 5 for you here on the Sports Bash. Check it all out right here. But first, I'm giving you another opportunity to enter to win Eagles-Giants tickets for Thursday Night Football. Right now, text in. First 5 people that get in, 609-403-0973. Include your name, where you're from, and the word Eagles Trip. Eagles Trip, your name, and where you're from. Fastest 5 text messages right now. We are running out of opportunities. Today is the last day to enter. You must be present to win at Maynard's in Margate on Wednesday. We will be live at Maynard's on Wednesday, and we are going to draw the winner. One lucky winner will win a pair of tickets to the game, transportation to and from MetLife Stadium, plus a tailgate party that you will never forget. This is going to be an awesome tailgate party. First 5 people right now. Your name, where you're from, Eagles trip must be included in the text message. 609-403-0973. Good luck. Nuggets are up next, and I got a nugget that will include Cal Ripken, Eric Lindros, and Mickey Morandini. Don't go away. All right, Sports Bash is live. We're at Ventnor Social now. I just saw a whole group of Eagles shirts over there, and that woman's got the Kelly Green on.
Hurts,
She had a Hurts Kelly Green?
Yeah, Jalen Hurts Kelly Green.
Now, their whole table has Eagles gear on.
I like that.
Sir's got a Jets shirt on. Get the hell out of here.
They stink.
He's got a Yankees hat and a Jets shirt. Get out of my face. We're live at Ventnor Social. Time for the Nuggets. They're brought to you by The Hub, gear that works as hard as you do. Nick Earnshaw is the host of the Shift podcast. He is the producer of The Locker Room, and you can check him out on Nernshaw Radio. Whenever you're that. When is that?
Mondays and Wednesdays, 9 p.m. on the X and YouTube platforms as well. So we're all over the place this week.
All right, I got a couple nuggets for you to start this.
Wow.
Today.
Look at that. I'm excited.
I'm going to try to throw a couple of nuggets your way each day now, okay?
All right. Reverse nugget.
In 1992, Eric Lindros of the Flyers made his debut for the Philadelphia Flyers in a preseason game against the Quebec Nordiques. If you remember, he refused to play for the Nordiques, and that's how he ended up on the Flyers. But it was on this day in 1992 that Eric Lindros made his Flyers debut. Also in 1992, Mickey Morandini turned an unassisted triple play. It was the first time in 65 years that had happened.
Mickey Morandini.
There you go. And on this day in 1996, Cal Ripken was not in the lineup for the first time since May 29th, 1982. It ended his consecutive game streak at 2,632. Does anybody on this program today or listening remember who replaced Cal Ripken in the lineup?
Wow.
I'll give you a hint. I'll give you a hint. 2 hints. This player not only was drafted by the Sixers, he also played for the Atlantic City Surf baseball team.
Wow. That's a nugget and a half. That's a nugget and a half.
Josh says he knows. Josh says he knows.
Drafted by the Sixers?
He was drafted by the Sixers, played at Oklahoma basketball, drafted by the Sixers in the second round, and then he played baseball, and he played for the Atlantic City Surf.
I don't want to give it away. I want to see if Nick or Pete can figure it out first.
If anybody listening know, text in 609-403-0973.
Was it Milt Thompson, a surf player? No.
Did he play third base for the Orioles?
Well, I'm trying to
Poor
remember.
guess.
I'm trying to remember
PG,
surf
think it
players
out loud.
that were famous. All I can come up with is Milt Thompson, Mitch Williams, Cecil Fielder. That's about
Oh,
it.
man.
Kim Batiste.
Kim Batiste.
Jose De Jesus. A couple others. Well, we're looking for a third baseman that played for the Orioles. Milt Thompson would not fit the bill. It's happy hour Friday.
Neither would Mitch Williams.
No, it's happy hour Friday for us too.
Do I just say it, or are we giving up?
Earnshaw wouldn't know this guy.
I have no idea. I have no clue.
I actually have this guy's rookie baseball card, which is
Wow.
kind of sad.
He's
It's on the wall behind you.
On this wall.
It's on the wall right here. Is that Mitch Williams? No, that's Bailey Falter.
Wow, Bailey Falter baseball
Not
card
Mitch
on the
Williams.
walls. A pull.
This wall's unbelievable, by the way.
Yeah,
though.
this
I mean,
wall behind us. If you're not at Ventnor Social, just even if you like, I don't drink, I hate the food, whatever. Just come and look at the wall.
It is a great wall. No better wall.
By the way, just for everybody who's suffering out there, it's Ryan Miner.
I mean, no one's going to guess that. Did you know that?
Yeah, of course I knew it. What do you think I asked him for?
It's a footnote in history. Who's
How do you
the
think
guy
I knew
who
that he
replaced
played for
Cal
the Surf
Ripken?
and the Sixers? I knew the answer to come up with the two. I had to come up with the clues for you.
I want to make a correction. There's no way Ryan Miner's baseball card is on this wall.
Ryan Miner played for the Atlantic City Surf. He also was drafted by the Sixers. I do not believe he appeared in a game for the Sixers.
No, he only played in, I think it was preseason games, right?
Yeah, now that year they drafted two guys in the second round. Both guys, I think, played baseball. The other guy was a pitcher from Washington, a lefty.
I'll look it up.
I can't remember his name. All right, what do you got today for me?
There you go. A little This Day in History nugget from Gill today. Absolutely. I love it. I love it. A couple of This Day in History nuggets there from Gill, but I'm going to give you something more relevant. We'll talk about our favorite guy, I feel like, on this program. It might be Mike's favorite player, Nick Castellanos. He was recently on the Mookie Betts podcast. I know you're a big fan of the player podcast there, Mike and PG. I want to play a clip from this podcast, and he got into a discussion. It hasn't been talked about a ton from this answer, but this is what Nick Castellanos had to say about platooning for the first time when Mookie asked him about it. Take a listen.
Right now, I'm just trying to be like as most placid as possible. I don't. The thing is, I don't know what my routine is yet.
Okay, so you got to figure it out. Because this is your first time, really.
This is my first time doing it. You know, the second half has kind of been tough dealing with some patella tendonitis in my left knee that happened when we were playing the Yankees. Sometime, like as humbling as this is to say, because I get FOMO when I don't play. Like sitting down on the bench and like watching is hard because I've never done that before. Pick up the guys, right? Like,
so Castellanos mentioned he's been a little banged up and that he's trying to be placid about the entire situation. Here's another clip from Castellanos from that same interview about how he's going about it with his teammates. Take a listen to that.
at the same time, like, I don't really have a choice, right?
Yeah, you don't have a choice.
Baseball's a team sport. I got paid this money to help the Phillies win a World Series. So this is what's being asked of me. I have to put everything that I know to the side and do the best I can to answer what to do what's asked of me to do in the moment.
So, Mike Gill, your reaction to Castellanos and him being a team player, responding in a pretty positive light to the whole platoon situation.
I mean, those answers there were excellent. There's nothing more. That's exactly, if you said, hey, the PR guy sat down with you and said, this is what you're going to say, that would be the answer you would give him, right? I mean, literally, you would say, hey, this is what they pay me for. I got to figure it out. I got to be a team player. They pay me to win a World Series. I mean, everything he said, you're like, okay, I feel like Nick he got it. He gets it. I mean, if I'm believing him there,
do you believe him? Do you believe him from that answer? I mean, that's kind of it's a relaxed. They're in LA. He's going on Mookie's podcast, and he's asked about it kind of midway through the show. I mean, more people were talking about his answer to the Karen thing, but I found this interesting that he's finally asked about the platoon and got to really respond to it since it's happened.
I think the answer couldn't have been any better. Yes. Listen, does he want to play? Yeah. And I think Rob Thompson says, like, he better want to play. Like, I want him to play. He said, I don't know a routine yet. I've never done this before. Why would he have a routine? I think he's telling the truth. He's saying, I don't have a routine. I never did this before. I think everything he said should make people feel better that Nick Castellanos is, I would say content's not the right word, but that he
realizes that this team is pretty close to a World Series.
And he realizes that the team is bigger than him. But your point is also correct, that this team is good enough to win the World Series, so he's not going to rock the boat.
No, and I don't think at this point in the season, with where they're at, clinching the division, all that good stuff, I think he recognizes it would be a distraction if he were to make a big deal about it, right? Remember, he was benched earlier in the year in Miami, and now he's been really struggling as of late. He's turned into a platoon player. They've had Kepler play a little bit more right field. So I like the answer from Nick. It also gives me a feeling, just the tone of it, that this might be it. This really could be it. Like, he's not going to make a big deal about it, but heading into the offseason, it's like, yeah, I think a change of scenery could be good. I mean, that's what I took from that answer. It's like, I'm going to help the team out. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But once the offseason hits, it feels like the direction might be somewhere else.
Possible. I think we've been kind of feeling everything about Nick has been, he doesn't want to do this, blah, blah, blah. I think he came out and said, yeah, like, I don't have a choice. So I'm going to have to adapt here. I didn't get the vibes of I don't want to be here vibes. Listen, how old's Nick now? I think Nick's got to have to look in the mirror and wonder, if I want to keep playing, this might have to be my role now. there might not be a spot for me unless I want to go to Pittsburgh and play for a team like that where they just need a veteran guy to kind of just like stabilize the lineup. Now, he's going to make $20 million again next year. That limits the places that he can go play to who wants to afford a right-handed platoon player making $20 million. He might have to stick it out here. The Phillies might be stuck with him.
Well, I mean, you have Justin Crawford down in Lehigh, probably getting ready to play opening day in 2026.
Well, I gave you the scenario that I could see him back here next year. Hey, Nick, you're a platoon player right off the bat. Are you okay with that? Yes, I'm okay with that. Okay, you and Brandon are going to play right field. Justin's going to play left. Bader will play center if Bader is back. Now, if Bader's not back, there's a possibility that Crawford's in center. Marsh is in left with somebody. And maybe they bring back Max Kepler and the two of them platoon again in right field. But that would be the scenario that he would be back, is that he's okay. Now, listen, the Phillies would have to probably eat that $20 million or a large portion of it to trade Nick Castellanos.
Is that assuming that the Phillies fall short in October?
Dude, if
that
they
happens,
fall short in October, it's going to be crazy to see how they change this team.
Yeah, they cannot bring back Castellanos if they fall
But the problem is, if they don't win this World Series, and you were saying you have to change it, you're not getting rid of Harper, you're not getting rid of Turner, you're not getting rid of now you have to re-sign Schwarber and Real Muto. Okay, you want to bring back Bader, most likely, right?
Yeah, I would think Bader would be the guy you'd definitely try and bring back.
Stott and Bohm are both signed, but you would probably, I would imagine you would try to move Bohm and maybe even Stott. Stott's come on here in the second half. I mean,
But the calls for Aiden Miller are only going to get louder if he continues his tear in Lehigh.
And that's a good point, is Aiden Miller is ripping it up right now at Lehigh. He crushed it, the last month or two. He's been on a tear. He's going to be knocking on the door to play next year. The problem is,
on opening day, you think, or later on in the year?
Both, but they might not bring him up opening day. They might wait until they get another year, whatever date that is, that he can come up after that date to gain an extra year.
Yeah,
But what position is he going to play?
Who, Miller? Miller, I would think would be third.
But I'm saying he's been playing shortstop.
I know.
Everybody, by all accounts, is saying that he is a shortstop. And if you thought he was going to be playing third base, wouldn't you want to kind of make that transition at some point soon?
Yeah, at some point you want to try it. I don't know what they'll do with Miller. I mean, unless you want to move off Turner's contract and somehow get out of that, I don't know how you would. But, yeah, I mean, if this team does not secure a victory and go deep into October and win a World Series this year with this core, I mean, this is essentially it with this core this season because of the pending free agency of Schwarber, Real Muto, Ranger, all of those type of guys. You're going to lose Kepler as well. Bader's also has a mutual option as well heading into next year. I mean, this team's going to look different. It's going to look different. You have Painter waiting in the wings, you have Crawford, and you have Miller waiting in the wings. So you're going to start to want to make that transition, especially with guys heading into their 30s right now. So they have a lot of decisions to make. Either way, they win or lose the World Series, but particularly if they lose, you can't run it back. There's no way you can run it back again. You're going to have to make some type of change, drastic change in my estimation, especially with guys getting older and the pending free agency of a couple of your key players.
By the way, Alec Bohm has been reinstated from the 10-day injured list to make room on the roster. Rafael Latigua, was optioned back to AAA. I don't think he ever appeared in a game. But Bohm is back, so we'll see if Bohm's back in the lineup tonight at third base. I would imagine he is. That means Kemp is probably bounced from the lineup, and Kemp's been hitting in the 5-hole for this team.
Well, the lineup has been essentially Lehigh Valley for the most part for the past couple of weeks, right? With Turner going out, Bohm going out. They clinched the division with the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. So good on the Phillies, but it's good to have Bohm back, and you're going to start getting Turner back, Bohm back. You'll be a little bit more healthy heading into the postseason. But, yeah, the Castellanos thing, fascinating to me. He's taking it like a champ. Those were good answers, I thought, on Mookie Betts' podcast about that.
Fine by you there. I also saw – so I didn't see the whole podcast, but I saw the clips of him talking about the Philly Karen League.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
that one went more viral. That went more viral than the one I found. I listened to the whole thing.
Wasn't he standing up for her?
Yeah, and Mookie was too.
Yeah, a little bit. They felt bad for her.
Well, of course you feel bad after the fact. She's getting.
Yeah, she's like Steve Bartman now. She can't go anywhere.
Has she withstood the storm?
I think it's past, but it'll always be remembered. I think it'll always be remembered, not like Bartman, but it'll always be kind of like a thing now because you have people going to the Phillies games at CBP dressing up as the Karen, and then people who like look like her. Yeah, they also are like, I am not the Philly Karen. I've seen people who have that same type of haircut wear I am not the Philly Karen on their shirt.
Idea to get rid of that haircut.
She should maybe get rid of the haircut, right?
Yeah, and so should everybody else who has it.
I don't think anyone has that. Maybe they do.
I think there's one problem is there's too many people with that do.
You think it shouldn't be a trend anymore?
That dude's
it's wild. Good. No good. No good. All right, let's move along. Nugget number 2. I want to bring some Sixers into the discussion as well. And Tyrese Maxey was on a podcast. I'm listening to all the podcasts for you guys. All right, all these player pods. Maxey was on with Philly Take with RB, he's a Sixers podcaster, and Maxey had this to say when asked about Joel Embiid and what he's been like through the training process in the offseason. Take a listen.
Joel's vibes, energy has been great. Every time I talk to him, he's happy, he's smiling, and that's what matters to me, man. Whenever you see him like that, that's good. You don't want to see him in down. And someone that's, like I said, he's like my brother. So I'm happy to see him happy right now. I talked to those guys all summer, throughout the summer, man. You know what I'm saying? And we all have the same MO. I think the biggest thing now is just trying to keep the continuity going, like small things, like playing a game with each other or like video games, just hanging out. Those things matter, man. They matter more than you think they do.
So things are good with Joel, and that coincides with some of the pictures the Sixers put out. They put out another one today of Joel Embiid looking slimmer, thinner, looks healthier, looks happier, and that kind of goes with what Tyrese Maxey is saying about Joel at this point. Because remember, it was a miserable start to last year. Miserable. And Joe was not in a good mood at all. So heading into the season, it seems like he's in a better mood, to say the least, heading into this year. You just hope that these guys can get all on the floor at the same time. And with Maxey, he was hurt last year too.
I've been telling everybody I don't anticipate problems with Joel this year. And I said I think he'll play 55, 60 games, somewhere in that range. I think you're going to see a really, really MVP-level Joel Embiid. I know people don't expect it or believe it when I see it. I don't know that I'm right about it. I'm just saying I don't have a lot of worries about Joel being ready. He missed all of last year. I know the knee problem is not going to go away per se. He's always going to have to deal with it. But I think taking off the whole year last year was the smart thing to do. And one of the things that I've always asked for from Joel is, look, there's not too many things he can do to be a better player. I mean, he is just one of the most dynamic, unstoppable offensive forces in the league. The one thing he can do to make himself a better player is drop weight. And from the pictures so far, these aren't him putting out the pictures. This is the team putting out the pictures. So I do put a little bit more stock than a Ben Simmons video when you would see Ben doing the shooting stuff. That's coming from him and his camp. This is the team like, hey, look at Joel, just kind of sprinkling this out there. And I said to people, like, I have no concern that Joel will be back to his MVP form. I don't think he's over the hill. I don't think he's on the decline as a player. I don't know how many more MVP-level seasons that knee's going to give you, but I think he'll play around 60 games this year and be an MVP-level player. And if that's the case with Maxey and, I don't know what to think about Paul George.
Podcast P.
Podcast P, yeah. I would think Podcast P will play his 60 games, somewhere in that range as well. Obviously, what's his name's back this year, the rookie.
Jared McCain.
Jared McCain is going to be healthy, hopefully, coming off. They got an intriguing team if healthy. If healthy is the big thing. And I've said I'm not all that concerned about Joel Embiid's health.
The one thing that Maxey did mention, and you can see in the photos, is Joel looks happy, right? He's smiling. He looks thinner, but I'm glad to see that
good
Embiid
spirits.
He has a good I guess, happiness to him and a good headspace. That's what I'm looking for. Headspace going on
Yeah.
right now.
Good word.
And and he talked about, remember that big article that came out over the summer, right? It was all about Joel and how he's had to deal with these injuries, and it takes a mental toll on you with all the rehab and all that type of stuff. So if he's in good spirits, it gives you a positive outlook. And Maxie kind of echoed that, and you've seen it through some of the pictures and clips that the team has put out too. So hopefully a positive Joel heading into the season.
I will say, do not show any clips of Embiid wearing a big fat knee brace.
No,
because that would
people will go
lads.
nuts. People will go
You
nuts.
haven't seen any of those.
Right.
He's not wearing a brace right now.
Well, they haven't shown his knees, I don't think.
No, they
No.
did.
Oh, they did?
No, a lot of people have said the one thing they have noticed in some of these videos is that he does not have the knee brace on.
No, he does not have it.
Showing the smile.
Yeah,
He does look noticeably smaller.
he does, which is a good thing. More elusive. I mean, if you go back and watch edits and clips of him from like his earlier years, his rookie years, etc., he was thin, he was athletic, and hopefully you can get back to that type of Joel Embiid. All right, before I get out of here, nugget number 3. I don't know if you guys saw, but the Eagles are going with a uniform combo they haven't used since 2015. I know how much you love your uniforms there, Mike Gill. They're going white jersey, green pants. Are we okay with this uniform before I get out of here?
Not my favorite look. Not my favorite look, the white jersey, green pant look. I'm not a big fan of the white jersey.
It's a road jersey to
or
me.
just in general?
It's at home, though. That's the thing. It's at home. It's usually the white jersey goes in the preseason as the home jersey. This time they're going it for the first time since 15 at home with the white jersey and green pant combo.
Because obviously in the white jersey, green pant combo. Don't love it. Don't love it.
All right, so you're out on it. All right, that's the Nuggets today. A little 3-pack for you guys today.
Nice hat there, Earnshaw.
Oh, yeah.
Champions.
Division champs. Talk to our buddy Johnny D. Maria, and he said, I don't know how you do that show with Schweiner. He's like, I don't even know how you deal with him every Saturday.
I showed PG the text message of the hat. He says, "Oh, he bought that hat."
It's
I told him
awesome.
to save his money for the NL pennant hat.
I already did. I already budgeted. You got to budget for this time of year. You got to know going in. Around this time of year, you're going to be
But
dropping
that
a
hat,
lot.
No use except for like a week. It's going to be irrelevant by 2 weeks from now.
You know how many fits I can wear with this? I can wear so many fits with this hat. Like, it goes with everything.
I know, but it loses its luster in about a week.
You got to keep in mind, this is a guy who rocks the Philly tuxedo. He don't care what he looks like.
Exactly. You kidding me? There's going to be a beer named after that.
Yeah. Pretty socks.
All right.
All right,
by
guys.
the way, the pitcher, the Sixers drafted Ryan Miner in the second round out of Oklahoma. The very next pick, they took Mark Hendrickson from Washington, who the pick before, who turned into a left-handed relief pitcher in the big leagues. He
Unbelievable.
played for the Phillies. He was actually a pretty good, one of those lefties back in the lefty specialist days. He would come in and get like one left-hander out. That was his role. But he lasted 10 years in the league. So the Sixers did a good job of finding baseball players, not so good at finding basketball players.
It seems like it's been the case for a while now. All right. Let's move on.
All right, there's the Nuggets on this Friday. They're brought to you by The Hub, gear that works as hard as you do. Sports Bass Live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Live video streaming on the X platform, YouTube, at Mike Gill Show. Fred in the Villas. By the way, Fred in the Villas was our last qualifier, and you have another chance to qualify coming up on the Sports Bass Live. Eric in Margate, Fred in the Villas, and let's find out who's next. Caller number 7, 609-573-3776. You're going to join those two guys as qualifiers today to go win Eagles-Giants tickets for their game at MetLife Stadium on October the 9th. Caller 7, 609-573-3776. Caller number 7 right now. You must be present to win at Maynard's in Margate. We're going to be there live on Wednesday, where one lucky winner will walk away with a pair of tickets to see the Eagle-Giant game on Thursday, October the 9th at MetLife Stadium. The winner will receive 2 tickets to the game, round-trip transportation to and from MetLife Stadium, and an ultimate tailgate party with food, drinks, a live DJ, and more. You must be present to win at Maynard's in Margate on Wednesday. Caller number 7 right now. Good luck. A Friday edition of the Sports Bash. We're live at Ventnor Social today. Stop out and hang out with us for the final hour of the show. Eagles and Rams this weekend right here at Ventnor Social. You can watch all the action. 27 TVs inside Ventnor Social, upstairs, outside at Ventnor Social. You know, I was driving here today, and people are walking to the beach. It's beach weather. Is it football weather at Lincoln Financial Field? It's going to feel like L.A., not like the snow game we got in January. Sal Paolantonio on the scene for Eagles and Rams. It's a Sal Pal Friday. We're breaking down this game from all the Sal Pal angles right here on the Sports Bash. And Sal, they played in L.A. The Eagles dominated that game. They played in Philadelphia, and that game was a little closer in the snow. What will the third edition look like this time around? What are some of the storylines in this one?
Well, first of all, Michael, thanks for having me on the show, Sal Pal Friday on the Sports Bash down in the Jersey Shore with Mike Gill. Look forward to it every Friday at 5 o'clock. And I always look forward to digging deep into the numbers of the Eagles game. And you don't have to dig very deep this time around. Nick Sirianni is 3-0 against Sean McVay. Sean McVay in his career is 1-6 against the Philadelphia Eagles. So, you know, to me, this game comes down to, can the Rams under Sean McVay beat the Eagles under Nick Sirianni? And I don't think they're there yet. I don't. I know there are certain matchups that favor the Rams when they're on the field throwing the football to a certain degree. But you have to show me you can stop Saquon Barkley. Everybody knows the numbers. Everybody saw the highlights in the snow, that record-setting performance in the divisional round of the playoff games. And Jordan Mailata talked about it this week. He said, we like when they line up 8 in the box because that gives us the matchups we want. Their defensive line, and you and I have discussed this on your show a couple of times this month, the defensive line are getting smaller, and the Rams is light. And the Eagles have a heavy, big offensive line that mows them down. So they have a distinct advantage when they're running with the football. Very big advantage. And then on defense, Michael, everybody's seen the highlights on SportsCenter, NFL Live. You've talked about it on your show. Last year, 1st and 10 on the 13 with 1:14 to go. And the Rams couldn't move the ball because number 98 obliterated the interior of the Rams offensive line, not once but twice. And I picked that verb very carefully. He obliterated them, steamrolled them, and they were demoralized after the game. That they thought they were going to go up 29-28. In fact, they went out of town 28-22 losers. So 2 major advantages for the Eagles in this matchup: the running game and the defensive line of the Eagles.
Big one there, and you just mentioned the running game. Barkley went for 250 the first time, over 200 the second time. They haven't got him going to that level yet. It feels like a big breakout week for Barkley, it sounds like you're saying.
Well, they sold out on Barkley. The Chiefs and the Cowboys both sold out, and the Eagles couldn't respond in the passing game. So, you know, the Rams are not a sellout team defensively. They may have to do that in this game, but I like the matchup. I really do. And they have to stop the tush push. So this is tush push central, this football game. To me, Sean McVay, Mike, he was one of the most ardent critics of tush push. He lobbied hard at the NFL league meeting in March down in Palm Beach. He was one of the guys that led the charge to try to ban it. Fell 2 votes short because it's such a demoralizing play. See, to me, the psychology of tush push is even greater than the play itself. The fact that when you line up as a defense, you can't stop it. You know you can't stop it. And that frustration is bubbling to the surface now with Chris Jones screaming on the sidelines. They ran the same dang play 7 times in a row, screaming at Jalen Hurts during the kneel down. You saw it with Frankie Louvu last year in the NFC Championship game, jumping off sides, not once, not twice, but 4 times.
to the point where Sean Hockley had to look into the camera on his mic and say, one more time, and we're just going to award him the score. So the frustration is, I think, just as difficult for teams to deal with as the play itself.
It is it's a mind game, right? It's a mind game that the Eagles have won right now. It is certainly under the skins of teams. It seemingly is under the skins of everybody. It has become a national story all week long. But, Sal, obviously, it was talked about early. Oh, the reason they won this game went back to March. Then Dean Blandino's comments saying it's a hard play to officiate. You wonder if the officials have been told to watch this play even closer as this season goes on, specifically this week with a game that's high profile.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. The new vice president officiating, Roman George, sent a training video to all 32 teams and officials showing the false starts penalties that were not flagged when the Eagles ran the tush push against the Chiefs last week, and told them that it has to be officiated tightly. They instructed the officials to basically pay closer attention and call it. And it's really interesting. The referee assigned Sunday for this game, the guy wearing the white hat, is Brad Rogers. He's only been a referee for 4 years. Last time he was a referee, the only other time he was a referee this year, he called 4 false starts in the Washington at Green Bay Thursday night football game. Now, 4 is about 2 more than the average per game. So he called 4. So they put him there because, he's relatively inexperienced, which means what? They can basically help him from New York. And if you look at the flip card of the game, they have a replay official and an assistant replay official assigned this game in the press box. So you're going to get all eyes.
Yeah.
I would be shocked if Roman George, the vice president of officiating, is not in the building at the link. And then you're going to have the referee himself, the side judge, and the line judge will be obviously paying closer attention. You're going to have the replay official assigned and an assistant replay official. And then in New York, you have the video replay constantly going with Troy Vincent and John Runyon there. And Troy Vincent has been a vocal critic of tush push. So absolutely, it has become a cause célèbre for the cognoscenti in the NFL to crack down on the play as much as possible because they fell 2 votes short banning the play in March.
Well, it'll certainly be scrutinized for the rest of the season. We know that. And the Eagles, obviously, I don't know. They ran it 7 times last week. Maybe they did run it too many times, and that brought out a lot of attention on it. But, hey, have fun while it lasts because nobody has seemed able to stop it. But we know, Sal, they got to do more than just tush push. They ran the ball against the Rams in the past. They got to be able to do it again. But one of the things is they got to get this pass game going. Or does it not matter? They keep winning.
Well, of course it does matter, and you're right. You have to be able to play complementary football in the National Football League, and eventually it's going to come back and bite them. So they have to figure out how to open things up in the passing game. And when you look at it, it's really a combination of things. You and I discussed this last week. I think they're too vanilla. They're not as creative as they need to be in terms of motion and moving guys around. I want to see some reverses. I want to see some wide receiver reverses. I want to see some jet motion and tosses, things that get the ball in the hands of their big, fast playmakers other than Saquon Barkley. Having Goddard back will definitely help this week. No question about it.
Yep.
They can't match toe-to-toe. If Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams and Matthew Stafford have success in the passing game, get the ball out quickly, and don't let Carter eat up the offensive line of the Rams, and the Eagles have to, score, then necessity will be the mother of invention in this football game.
That's the voice of Sal Paolantonio.
You remember Frank Zappa, the mothers of invention.
Oh, yeah. Of course, I remember.
Yeah,
Frank
that was a
Zappa.
great band.
It's
That
great.
was a great band. There's no they got to open it up. They know that they got to find ways to score in the passing game or just move it more effectively. They got to throw the ball downfield. But when teams like the Chiefs are running zero blitzes, selling out, and going after Jalen Hurts, they need to have more effective answers, Mike.
Frank
They need to have blitz beaters in their passing game built in, and I frankly don't see it. And that's on Kevin Patullo, the new offensive coordinator.
Yeah, and that's where, maybe Goddard in week 1 had 7 catches. He was not in the lineup last week. Maybe he can help with some of those blitz beaters that you talk about. On the flip side, are you a little worried about the Eagles' secondary matching up? This is probably the best group of receivers they'll see. I think they complement each other well. Last year you had Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, 2 really good receivers, Sal, but similar type of guys. This is a good complementary crew with Adams and Nacua now.
Oh, God, yes. And you look at Nacua on tape, and on the matchup show tomorrow, Greg Cosell and Darius Butler do a specific breakdown at the very top of the show. We lead with Rams and Eagles on the matchup show.
This is the best game of the weekend here, Sal.
Yeah, you got to lead with your best game, no question, and that's what we do on the show, and we focus on Nacua. Nacua is an absolute badass. I don't know if I can say that on your program, but I just did. He is a bad man. I mean, he's better than Cooper Kupp, and Cooper Kupp was a Super Bowl MVP. He's better because he's thicker, harder to bring down. They do a lot of creative things with him that I'm talking about that they should be doing with some of their wide receivers, but he's so shifty, tough, strong, got great hands, hungry, determined. I mean, if I'm starting a football team, he's in my top 5, and that's saying something, really. I mean, the guy is, you watch him on tape, he is really a beast, 100%. And this is such an important game for the Rams, right?
I think this game.
They don't want to come back to Philly and play in the
Exactly.
postseason.
We talked about that at the top of the show, Sal, how big this game is for both these teams because, well, Philly won in L.A. last year handily, and they won here. But if the Rams want a shot, they can't play in the snow in January again.
Here or Green Bay.
Or Green Bay, right. You throw them into the mix. This is a feel of a game that the winners are the number 1 seed.
Yeah, this is a game that the Rams, in my view, can't afford to lose. Why can the Eagles afford to lose it? Because you just said it. They've had success in L.A., and they're the Super Bowl champs. And the Rams left here so disconcerted. I mean, the raw emotion from Sean McVay after the game was a sight to behold when they lost that divisional round game here last year in January. So they absolutely got to have this game, in my view. And, for a lot of different reasons. The window is closing on Matthew Stafford, right?
Yep.
And they've won 1 Super Bowl. You win that second one, you're talking about Hall of Fame careers. So I think this is a super important game for the Rams. I really do. And the pressure is definitely on them, Mike.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly. Sal Pal will get your keys to the game in just a second, but one thing I want to get your take on is last year in the game, the playoff game, they blitzed a little bit more. The Eagles did. I know they blitzed last week more than we normally see them blitz. They have to send more blitzes this week against said Matthew Stafford.
I don't think so.
Wow.
I don't. I think this is more of a coverage sack game because you want to make sure you have enough bodies on Nacua and Higbee and Devontae Adams and any swing passes they might have to the backs. So I don't think that they will have a lot of blitzes in this game. I think they sold out with a lot of blitzes because they figured they could do anything they wanted offensively, especially in the running game.
All right, well, we'll see it all unfold right here. Of course, Sunday, you can listen to the game on 97.3 ESPN, the pregame at noon, the kickoff at 1. Sal Pal's keys for Eagles' victory this week are?
Well, the number one thing is don't turn the ball over. I say it a lot, but in this game, if the Eagles don't turn the ball over, they win the game. It's that simple. The Rams are very difficult to get the football from. But the Eagles don't turn the ball over. Their efficiency is the hallmark of what they're doing right now. They're not super productive in the offensive game, but they are super efficient, and that offsets the lack of passing game. So that's number one. Number two, make sure you find number 12, Puka Nacua. Don't let him destroy you. Don't let him dictate the game. Now, I'm using two negatives here because I think the Eagles match up well to win the game. But if they turn the ball over and they allow Puka Nacua to determine the outcome of the game, then those are two ways that they can lose it. You know, Mike McDaniel was right last night after the loss on Thursday Night Football to the Buffalo Bills. You know, there's a lot of ways to win a game, but there are many, 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 many more ways to lose an NFL game.
Yeah.
And you see it in talented teams, and the Eagles don't lose games. That's why the Eagles have won 16 straight games that Jalen Hurts has started and finished. Why? He's efficient with the ball. He didn't give it away. So, one, no turnovers. Two, don't let Nacua destroy you. And then number three, get Saquon Barkley going to the point where it opens everything up. I know people want to talk about the passing game, but get him going.
All right, Sal Pal. Of course, we want to give a shout-out to our guy Johnny G over there at Burger Realty. And, of course, he's listening, and we'll be watching the game. I know we saw Sal Pal holding up the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette last week. It seemed crazy watching you with that Pittsburgh paper in your hand. Are we going to see you back at the Link?
Oh, yeah, I'm back in the Link this week, and my score is 27-23, almost identical to last year, and the Eagles come out as winners.
I like it.
But you know, it's a one-score league, Mike. You know, even last night, Dolphins were getting 12.5. It's a one-score league. You have the highest number of games being determined by one score or less, 8 points or less in the National Football League for 3 years in a row.
Well, I will tell you this.
The
line 3.5 right now. The Rams are 6-0 against the spread in their last 6 road games and have covered 3 straight as a road dog.
Yeah, they cover, but they don't win. I mean, that's only regular season. One of those games was in Philly that they lost. But the biggest issue to me is McVay can't beat the Eagles.
Yep.
And until he beats the Eagles, he's 1-6 against the Eagles as a head coach, 0-3 against Sirianni.
Wow.
Until he does it, I'm not convinced he can do it.
Yes. By the way, the Eagles are 14-2-2 against the spread against the Rams, going back to 1986. Feels like some buddy ball. I was at that game.
Whoa, what was that? Give me that number again. Wow.
The Eagles are 14-2-2 against the Rams against the spread since 1986. I was at that game. Flipper Anderson's still running through the tunnel at Veterans Stadium against Buddy Ryan's gangrene defense. Jim Everett threw that pass. I was sitting up at 700 level, and that's probably one of the games the Eagles did not cover because that was a playoff game, and they got beaten bad by the Rams in that one. It was Flipper Anderson. I can't remember who the other receiver, but I remember Flipper.
This will be the most officiated NFL game
yes, it will
in
be.
the last 10 years.
Oh, wow. All right, we'll keep our eye on that. Sal Pal will be all over Sunday NFL Countdown from Lincoln Financial Field, and I'm sure you can check out his coverage over at Sal Pal ESPN on the Instagram. And don't forget the matchup show tomorrow morning on ESPN2 and all over the socials on ESPN, the app. Sal, great stuff as always.
Okay, Michael.
Sal Paolantonio, everybody. Here on the Sports Bash, there you go. A Sal Pal Friday, a tradition like the Masters. Sal Pal Friday and the Masters. It kind of goes hand in hand, right? You don't get a Sal Pal Friday anywhere else other than right here on the Sports Bash Live. What are you eating over there?
Some boom boom shrimp.
Yeah. He's
Very
eating.
good.
They're all eating over there. They got the whole bar eating now. Everybody's drinking, and I'm over here working.
You do have some tuna bites in front of you.
Yeah, I can't sit there and munch on them while I'm talking to Sal Pal, though. All right, when we come back, it's my Jersey Cal Friday 5. Now, we're going to go back to my Friday 5 from week 3 in the summertime.
Right.
And see how those games have changed, if at all. I picked 5 games that I thought would be the best 5 games of Week 3 back in the summer.
I don't think you were anticipating Joe Burrow breaking his toe, Justin Fields
That
getting
might have
a
been in there. That might have been in there. Burrow. No Jaden Daniels either. He's already been ruled
Daniels, he's out.
All right, we're going to rock
Carson
and roll.
Wentz is playing.
We're rocking and rolling on a Friday edition of the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. We're streaming the video live, as always, on the X platform, YouTube, at Mike Gill Show. By the way, the Phillies pitching matchup tonight brought to you by Instant Services, South Jersey's premier HVAC, plumbing, and electrical service provider. Go to instantservices.com. Learn about their preventative maintenance memberships and how they can keep your systems running. The Phillies are going with Taijuan Walker, 5-8 with a 4.17 ERA. He is opposed by Ryan Nelson, 7-3 with a 3.34 ERA, a 1.06 WHIP. That is your pitching matchup tonight. It is brought to you by Instant Services. Check out instantservices.com. All right, when we come back, it is my Jersey Cal Friday 5 coming up next. All right, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Mike Gill live. Peachy, my on-site producer. Josh Hennings back at the studios. Let's get to the Friday Five. The Friday Five is brought to you by Jersey Cal. It's a year-long thing in Northfield, Absecon, and Brigantine. The best ice cream is at Jersey Cal. You have any of that Jersey Cal left?
No, it's all gone.
How long did it last?
It lasted through Saturday night.
One day?
Yeah, 24 hours. Oh, I got a 5-year-old at home.
You got like 4 pints.
Well, I know. I got a wife. I got me. I got a 5-year-old. It was gone.
Gone. Well, all mine's still there.
Is it? Good for you.
Yeah.
You got willpower. Good for you.
Yeah, we just had a scoop here and there. Got to preserve it.
I should have.
All right. Do the Friday Five. Ready?
Yeah, again, I don't think you were anticipating Joe Burrow being out.
I'm going to pull back my Friday Five from the summertime. It was Lions-Ravens.
That's the Monday Nighter.
Dallas-Bears.
Okay.
Cincy, Minnesota.
There you go. Yep, that's the Carson Wentz, Jake Browning game.
Now, Miami-Buffalo was last night, which would not be included in the Friday Five because it was last night. I didn't think of that in the summertime. I was just looking at the 5 best games.
Right.
Denver Chargers. Is that a game this week? Those two teams play each other this week? That's a good game.
Yeah.
All right, so that was my Friday Five in the summertime. Let's see what the Friday Five is now.
Now, you did not have Philly.
Well,
and,
we don't include the Eagles.
Okay,
game.
I got you.
All right, I'm going to go. Ooh, there's a lot of bad games this week. Oof.
There's
Denver Chargers is on the list.
Right, that's a storyline game.
Denver Chargers, Lions Packers,
Mine's
Arizona
Ravens,
San
right.
Francisco.
Arizona San Francisco.
That's 2-2-0 teams.
Yeah. Yeah, Rams are 2-0, Arizona's 2-0, and San Fran's 2-0.
Dallas Bears. I'm intrigued by that game. Dallas on the road. If they win, they're 2-1.
Right. And
Bears would be 0-3.
Bears would be 0-3 under Ben Johnson.
I need one more out of this group of teams. Green Bay, Cleveland.
Ooh.
Indy, Tennessee. Nope. Cincinnati, Minnesota.
Definitely not.
Pittsburgh, New England. Jets, Bucks.
That's no Justin Fields.
Yep, he's out.
That's Tyrod Taylor.
Raiders, Commanders with no Jaden Daniels.
Mariota.
Atlanta, Carolina. Houston, Jacksonville's interesting, I guess. I mean, if Houston loses that game, they're going to be 0-3.
0-3.
And Jacksonville would be 2-1. New Orleans, Seattle. Kansas City, Giants. I mean, is there one of those games that stick out to any of you guys to be the 5th game? Or do you not agree with my first 4?
I would go KC Giants because Kansas City cannot start 0-3.
You can throw that into there in terms of that storyline. Kansas City can't go 0-3. Josh?
I am very fascinated by this Texans-Jazz game. I never anticipated Houston being 0-4 at this point. So, for me, this is like a must-win game, to use the Mike McGarry term. This is a must-win column here for the Houston Texans.
Yeah, that one has a little because it's a division game. If Houston, who's the favorite at the beginning of the year to win that division, if they end up winning the game or losing the game, they're 0-3, and Jacksonville would be 2-1 in that division.
And Jacksonville's favored by 1.5.
Yeah, which, again, shows you how wild that situation is because we all came into the year thinking Houston was going to run with that division. Right now, they're struggling to even be in the race.
Yeah, and obviously, by the way, on that game.
And they don't have Joe Mixon. That's a big loss, I think. That
Nick Chubb's been playing well, though, so I will give him credit for that.
Jags have covered 4 of the last 5 and 3 straight in this matchup. They are a 1.5 favorite in the game. And since 2018, they are 8-15 as home favorites. But the Texans are 1-7 against the spread in September under DeMeco Ryans and 0-5 against the spread since last season when you go back to September. And they're 0-4 on short rest. Remember, they had the game they were on short rest. They played Monday night last week.
Monday night, yeah.
So all the numbers are not going well for the Houston Texans here. Not a great rest of the games, though. I mean, Denver Chargers is good. Chargers are favored by 2.5. Under Harbaugh, the Chargers are 15-4 against the spread. They're a good team to bet on. Yep. Dallas Bears, you got the Bears favored by 1.5. The last 8 times these two teams have played have gone over the number, which is 49.5. So there you go. I mean, you can try to pick the over on that one. I like the over on that game, I feel like.
I like Dak to go off because the last 2 quarterbacks who went against the Bears, those quarterbacks won NFC Offensive Player of the Week.
Yeah. How about Arizona, San Francisco? It's Cardinals minus 1.5. Kyler Murray is 26-13-1 against the spread in his career, including 21-7-1 as a road underdog. This is a good Kyler Murray spot.
I never thought I heard you say those words in my life.
Hey, I'm just going over what the numbers tell me, man.
I hear you. It's just saying it's a good Kyler Murray spot. It's just it's almost like it doesn't belong together.
Now, the Chiefs are favored by 6.5 on the road at the Giants here. Now, since the start of last year, the Chiefs are 7-0 outright, but 0-7 against the spread when they are laying 6 points. So it almost feels like another ugly game that maybe the Chiefs are going to have to find a way to win.
Another rock fight on primetime, Mike?
The Giants' defense is supposed to be the strength of the team, and they were terrible last week.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Giants are 3-11 against the spread in their last 14 games. They did cover last week, though. Can they cover back-to-back weeks? Or are the Giants all of a sudden a team that covers? I don't know if I'm going in that direction. What else we got here? Green Bay and Cleveland. The Browns are 1-7 against the spread in their last 8 games, including 0-6 after a loss against the spread. Green Bay here is favored by 7.5 on the road. Cleveland does it a decent defense for the most part.
Right, Myles Garrett's still there. But, I mean, again, it's Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for them to pull the cord.
Commanders, Raiders, the line moved from 6.5 to 3.5 following the Jaden Daniels injury news. So this is a big change there. I don't know. Can the Raiders go on the road and find a way? Pete Carroll, he has been great as an underdog against the spread in his career. So you got that going for him.
You would think that the Raiders have leadership that they can bounce back after that ugly performance.
To say the Raiders have leadership sounds crazy.
Well, I'm just I know. Well, you said Pete Carroll, Tom Brady's in there now.
Yeah.
So.
I wouldn't be. Listen, I'll tell you what. If you're an Eagles fan, you were cheering for the Raiders this week. You're cheering for the Bears this week, and you're cheering for. You don't really care about the Chiefs beating the Giants because we know the Giants aren't going to do anything. You're cheering for definitely the Raiders. You're definitely for the Bears, and you're kind of leaning. You got to go for Cleveland this week too because you like to see the Packers get clipped.
I mean, Commanders starting off 1-2. If they fall to the Raiders this week, that would not be a good start to the year. No one would have expected that.
No one would. Well, I'll tell you what. If you get them to 1-2 and you beat the Rams in the same week, that's 2 of the teams that you faced in the playoffs last year that would take a big hit this week. All right, so little change in the Friday 5 from the summertime. The one that we took out was, Cincinnati, Minnesota. That one's in there with the quarterbacks, right? Should it be in without the quarterbacks?
I would, just because of the fact that I'm intrigued by the car.
Cincinnati is 2-0, by the way.
They are.
But I'm also intrigued by the car accident. It's the.
Well, there's car accidents all over the league this week.
Yeah.
Well, I just mean really that game. Like, that game could be really good or really horrible, and I'm in for either scenario.
Here's the question I have for you guys.
You're not going to watch that game if it's 6-6 in the second half?
Pete, you underestimate how much of a geek I am, okay?
No, you are turning that game off if it's a field goal game.
You get Jake Browning or Carson Wentz. Who are you taking?
Jake Browning.
I would go Browning.
I just think Carson Wentz. I think Carson Wentz got so many injuries at this point. I'm surprised he's still in the league.
He's had 3 years off. He should be healed.
Well, he came in for that one half last year for the Chiefs, and he played horrible. Remember? You probably don't remember because you weren't watching. Pete.
Oh, no. Nope.
You on Red Zone?
Probably.
You going back to Red Zone this week?
Nah.
I was listening to a podcast. They were talking about, and this is a true story, and this is from, I forget who it was talking about. It's some CEO or some whoever thing. And they were saying about the Red Zone that it's targeted and marketed towards casual football fans, not hardcore football fans.
You would think it's the opposite, right?
Well, they said it's for fantasy people, gamblers,
Yeah.
and casual football fans.
I mean, that part's true. That it is marketed very heavily toward the degenerates. You know, the fantasy footballers,
for sure.
the gamblers, the guy who's sitting there with the clenching his phone for dear life because he's looking at the bet slip every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I know those guys.
By the way, in that game, the opening line was 3.5. It is now 2.5. Bengals are 0-5 against the spread in their last 5 games when the line is 3. And
I mean, for them to lose Joe Burrow for over 3 months,
that's a gut punch.
that is really a gut punch, man. There's no recovering from that.
Nothing. I mean,
I don't care if you have Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Jerry Rice, and there's just no recovering from that.
all right, that's my Friday 5 brought to you by Jersey Cow. Ice cream's a year-long thing at Jersey Cow with 3 locations, Absecon, Brigantine, and Northfield. They just had their 3-year anniversary last weekend. We were there on Friday. Don't forget, Sports Bash Live on Monday will be over at Ocean Casino in Atlantic City for the Fanatics Sportsbook. We are at Ventnor Social right now, wrapping up a Friday edition of the Sports Bash. I'll give you my keys to the game, balls.
Mike, really quick. A texter just checks it in. I go with Jake Browning because he has a hot wife, so I say go Jake.
That's his separation between Browning and Wentz.
Yep.
Wentz is married,
I
isn't he?
dare him to put $50 on it.
This is a tough week to throw some bets down. I mean, I tried to give you a couple nuggets and some trends. But,
You've been sprinkling nuggets throughout the show today.
well, I mean, the quarterbacks, though, are all different.
There's backup quarterbacks all over the league right now.
Marcus Mariota starting this week.
Yep.
Jake Browning,
Mhm.
Carson Wentz, Tyrod Taylor.
Tyrod Taylor.
That's 4. Who else we got?
Mac Jones.
Mac Jones is
Mac Jones,
potentially
we
starting.
think.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I'm just going through all the teams right now. I mean, I think we hit on all the main ones. So
That's 5 right there. I thought there was 8 for some reason.
that was last year. There was a week. There was like 8 or 9 backups who played.
Yeah, it's rough. What's Jaden Daniels? How long is he out for?
It's supposed to be just a week.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, Dan Quinn was saying on Wednesday he went into this whole thing. It's like, well, we're trying to be careful. The whole if this was December and not September storyline.
Well, he didn't practice all week, right?
Is
Correct.
Jaden Daniels?
He didn't.
No.
He didn't
Is there
practice
a
all week.
game? Is there another game out there that I didn't give? Did you want a nugget on there, Josh?
Another game.
Is there a game that you're zoned in on that you want to get a little nugget?
I mean, Lions-Ravens, the Monday Nighter.
Lions-Ravens?
I was gonna say Denver Chargers because I think whoever wins the Denver Chargers game is gonna win the division.
The Lions are 16-4 against the spread when getting at least 4 points. Under Dan Campbell, they're getting 5.5. Is that enough for you?
See, this is a new Lions team. They don't have that Ben Johnson anymore. Or
Ravens
Glenn.
are 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 when they are the favorite.
Okay.
Good cover team, the Rams. On Monday Night Football, Kansas City and Denver. Broncos are 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games when they follow a loss. They did lose last week to the Colts.
That is true.
That leverage play, yep. They
There you
got
go.
bit there.
All right. We'll do the Friday 5 next week. We'll check back in on the games that I picked in week 4. So in the Friday 5 this week from the summer Friday 5, we added 2 games, 2 changes to the ledger. By the way, Alec Boehm is back. If anybody's excited
You going
about that.
Phillies tonight, 9:40, right?
Oh, yeah. That half hour makes a difference.
It really does. It's only a half hour, but when it turns midnight, and the game is
Oh, yeah.
still going on against the Dodgers.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, it's a weekend here, so it's a little different. But. All right, we'll wrap up the show, give you my pick for the game, my game balls, and more next on the Sports Bash live on 97.3 ESPN. At 5:52, getting ready to get out of here on a Friday night Ventnor Social. That's where we've been hanging out. Now, PG, you like this? It's a bad day to be an Orange Crush shirt.
I do like that.
I got it up on my Twitter X. If you want to see the T-shirt, it's at Mike Gill Show. The bad day to be an Orange Crush shirt. And then I got the Ventnor Social kind of with the Liberty Bell
Powder
and then
blue.
the Rocky Stars around it, powder blue.
Yep.
Now, if I was giving you one of the shirts, which one are you taking?
I would probably go with the navy blue orange.
Yeah, I like
Crush
that
shirt.
color. It's nice.
Just because it has the back on
They
it.
got the Ventnor Social in the front.
Yeah, I'm a big back logo guy.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. As opposed
I'm
to
not
front.
a big back logo guy.
No?
I like a little up in the corner here.
Yeah, I like the corner, but then the back I can deal with.
All right, let's get the game pick. Game balls. I got Eagles winning this game. It's kind of ugly, though. I think it's kind of a ugly game. I'm going to go 24-17 Philadelphia. 24-17 Philadelphia. It's probably too clean of a score for this game. It's probably going to be something weird like 22-19 or something like that. Game balls this week. Saquon Barkley, he has the big game. I'm just going to keep going with that trend. He has crushed this team in the past. Game ball on defense. I got a couple candidates. I'm going to go Jalen Carter, though. He dominated the game in the playoffs. He's unblockable in the interior of that line. I think he's a disruptor again. But the other guys I have candidates for game balls in this game, I'm going to go with Zadarius Smith. I think Smith could be a big time proponent of the double teams on Jalen Carter. And I think this is the kind of game that he can maybe get a sack in there as well. I do like Zadarius Smith if you want to throw that into something. But Jalen Carter will get my game ball this week for the Eagles. And 27-24 is the pick from me here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. Don't forget, we want to thank everybody at Ventnor Social. It's been fun hanging out with them. We were here back in June, July, August, September. We hope to be back again sometime in the future. We had a great time coming out here. I had never been here before, but I'll tell you what, this place is really cool. If you want to check out an Eagles game and a Phillies game, like a playoff Phillies game or an Eagles Sunday, from what I've been told by people that have been hanging out here all day, that this is the place to come on the island with the 27 TVs and the sound on and just a great sports vibe in here. So thanks to Ventnor Social. They've been such a cool host for us for the 4 times we've been here. Monday, we will be at the Fanatics Sportsbook. Wednesday, we're going to be at Maynard's in Margate with this person. Caller number 7. We're going to see you at Maynard's in Margate, 609-573-3776, 609-573-3776. Caller number 7 right now. You are our final entry into this year's big old party at Maynard's in Margate. We're giving away tickets to see the Eagles and the Giants Thursday Night Football. You must be present to win on Wednesday of next week, where one lucky winner is going to win a pair of tickets to the Eagle-Giant game, transportation to and from MetLife Stadium, and a huge tailgate party with all the drinks, all the food, a live DJ, and a bus full with Eagles fans going to cheer on the Eagles and the Giants. That's all happening next Wednesday at Maynard's in Margate. Caller 7, you are our final entry. We'll see you all next week.